Trying to go live. Looks like it's trying to go live. Let's give it a second. Looks like it worked. Let's see. Hey guys, how you doing? It's Kevin here, bringing another video on information technology. I hope you guys are having a good day and happy Saturday. And today, I am honored to have another guest with me today, and his name is Ryan, and he works for IT. He's a solutions architect. I think you work in management as well, right?
Yep.
Hey Ryan, so I want you to introduce yourself. Tell me about yourself.
Hi, my name's Ryan O'Connell, and I'm the IT manager slash solutions architect for a very big waste company in New Zealand. And how I got started in IT is there was no training. I fell into it by accident because when I finished school, I studied to be a mechanical engineer. And then I went into IT because it was more money. And in those days, for some of your older guests, I learned using MS-DOS and Lotus Notes 1, 2, 3. And then we were really excited because the company then evolved to Windows for Workgroups. And then, of course, you know, with Windows 95 and 98. And again, I started at the bottom, you know, just tinkering around at home, playing with whatever hardware I could get my hands on at that time. And then I learned to drive Windows by myself, the hardware, because there wasn't a lot of training videos out then. And then slowly worked my way up. And I've worked for various corporations. I've worked for big corporations like EDS in the US and EDS here in New Zealand. I've done some work for Microsoft. I've done training for some of the biggest training providers in New Zealand. I'm originally from Africa, but I immigrated to New Zealand about 15 years ago. And the reason I left Africa was because I come from a little country called Zimbabwe. And there was a lot of political issues going on in there, so I decided it's time to leave. And we came to New Zealand because my wife has family here. And when I landed in New Zealand, my first job was working for Toshiba, fixing their notebooks, you know, damaged notebooks and replacing motherboards. And then, like most IT guys, I ended up doing IT support for some of the major schools in New Zealand, fixing all of the students' laptops, making sure that the students were on the network and, you know, setting things up like that. And then slowly moved through the ranks and then moved up the food chain, as you call it. And then all my certifications, I hold multiple certifications. I think my first certification is Windows NT4. That's going way back. And I mean, I've still got my first certificate, which is really old. And then, of course, every year I've tried to keep abreast with certifications. Again, I've migrated a lot of users into the cloud. And like I said, the reason how I've got into IT was because there was more money, but not only that, I have a passion for it. It's really interesting. And my saying is, you know, if you can find a job that's fun and get paid for it, that's even better. And again, I worked under some really good engineers. I've made a lot of mistakes while I was learning, but like every engineer, you learn and grow. And so I've been doing IT, like I say, for well over 18 years and worked my way up through right now as an IT manager. I was a previous IT manager for another company, but due to restructuring, I was made redundant. I was with them for almost 9 years. And they had a lot of offices overseas, and they used to run HP servers and all sorts of notebooks, you know, by various brands. So I kind of streamlined it so that we all were on HP. We didn't just have HP, Dell, and Acer and some other brand. I got all the brands uniformed. I introduced them to VMware at that stage and virtualized stuff. And then I moved them into Azure, into the cloud. And I had a lot of, earlier on, I had a lot of pushback with people not wanting to go to the cloud because they're worried about security and, we've spent all this money on the hardware. I'm not saying get rid of your hardware. So most of the companies I've done migrations for have a hybrid environment where they still have some stuff on-prem, but then they have a lot of stuff in the cloud. So
to interrupt you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are you using AD Connect?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, when we, especially with a hybrid environment, because as you know, a lot of users have Active Directory on-prem. In order to sync your AD up, absolutely, you have to have AD Connect to sync up those user accounts. Again, I learned a lot when I did my first migration because there was no one to really help me. So I learned the hard way in terms of migrating, like, for example, Exchange, the limitations it had on the mailbox sizes. And again, realizing that when we're moving stuff into Exchange on the cloud, there's no public folders. And if your public folders are bigger than 50 gig, we had issues. Thank goodness Microsoft have fixed that. But again, thank goodness a lot of people are moving away from public folders because that's just a real pain in the you-know-what to work with, especially if you're an IT engineer. So as an IT pro, besides fixing all the day-to-day user problems and printer errors, and I can't connect to the internet, and setting up new users, ordering new hardware, decommissioning old hardware, setting up switches, VLANs, networking, because besides holding Microsoft certifications, I have certifications with Cisco, VMware, Citrix, EC Council. I'm also a certified ethical hacker. I'm also an EC Council trainer. I was one of the first trainers to introduce EC Council training material into the New Zealand IT training institutions. And now a lot of those institutions are delivering EC Council courses.
That is awesome, man.
Courses, yeah. So, and again, it's been a lot of hard work, but it's paid off. And now my role with the company I'm with now, we have over 150 vehicles that are all have computers in them. They're all connected back live to our offices. We have our offices, IT systems are all cloud-based. I've migrated them to Azure. All our servers are in Azure. We use WVD desktops in Azure, Office 365. We also have third-party apps that are cloud apps that plug into Azure, such as our accounting apps for our finance department, as well as apps that our drivers use to receive and acknowledge jobs. Because the company I work for, being a waste company, we work 24/7, and a lot of the waste collections are done at nighttime. And obviously, with those drivers being all over Auckland, Auckland's a very, very big area it's one of the biggest cities in New Zealand. If those drivers' computers go down, they can't do their jobs. They won't know who to contact. They don't know where the next location is, because some of them may have anywhere from, to give you an example, 200 jobs to 1,500 jobs to do. Wow. So it's really important that the IT systems on board work. They all work with GPS as well and send that data back to our Azure platform live. So we can, again, analyze that data. We can also integrate that data into our SQL databases and run reports, do invoicing. So there's a lot involved. But besides that as well, we have our phone system as well, which is IP-based. Before it was analog, so I kind of moved them away from analog and made everything internet-based. And so our company is growing rapidly. We have about 60 staff in the office and over 200 drivers that drive trucks. We've just won a huge contract with the Auckland Council to do all their waste recycling. So again, those trucks are really, really busy. We have weigh bridges that weigh the truck. So that's all computer data that needs to be captured and modified and put into reporting, put into different formats for the finance department to use, the operations team to use. Our offices are huge. We also have cameras on the trucks. We have video cameras in our office. and all of that data streamed live. So that data needs to go somewhere. So having a good understanding of IT or Azure is really important. For example, we use Cosmos DB because that database scales to the type of data that we have. Because if we try to use a traditional database, obviously it's just going to fall over. But we do run Azure SQL as well. So we have a mix and match of software and hardware running in our environment. And again, I designed our environment. I planned our Azure move, worked with Microsoft as well to find out what is the best products to use. What solutions do I need to be aware of? Even though I've designed networks myself, I always like to bounce ideas off a third party person or another IT guy, because sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. So you'll find in IT, again, you'll end up talking to other people just to get a better layer of the groundwork, so that when you make a decision, you're making the right decision. Obviously, experience kicks in as well, saying, well, that's not a good idea to do that because I've had this issue in the past. Or, hey, that is a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. Again, I've also mentored people that have left school and decided they want to do IT and have gone into IT. When I was working for a training institution, one of the biggest in New Zealand, they trained about 5,000 students a year, international students, and that's students from China, Japan, Russia, India. And I started there as just a trainer, and ended up being the training manager for the training international students. But also I'm very hands-on as well. So I like to teach people, okay, yes, the book says we need to do A, B, and C, but in the real world, you've got a brain. So let's use that brain. Let's get you to think outside the box. And it's, a lot of people I've found are afraid to think outside the box for a number of reasons. One, people are going to laugh at me if I make a mistake. Two, I'm scared to make a mistake, so I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to make a mistake.
That's true.
And thirdly, they also don't have confidence. It's like, well, I'm not as clever as the next person. She's more clever, he's more clever. And I've kind of drummed into them, don't gauge your own abilities next to somebody else, because everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. So I try to build and give the people that I work with, both in the industry and students, confidence to make a mistake, but also confidence to say, hey, I've made a mistake, help. Because a lot of people will make a mistake and then they were like, well, he said, she said, and you have
they try to hide it. Yeah, they try to hide it. That's no bueno.
Yeah. And they try to hide it. And the reason they hide that, because they're afraid they're going to lose their job, or they're afraid that they're going to be ridiculed. And, like I've said to them, I make mistakes, I don't know everything, and at this stage, I'm still learning, believe it or not. There's so much to learn in IT, and you can't learn everything. So I've gone down the infrastructure, security, and networking side. I'm not a programmer and I'm not a developer, but I've learned a little bit about PowerShell, and I've learned a little bit about scripting, because you'll learn those things to help you as you go down the road. But if I come across a programming error, or I come across something that I'm not familiar with, I reach out straight away. And, if I make a mistake, I say, hey, I've made that mistake, help, show me what I did wrong and how to fix it. And
I love your method of thinking, because like a lot of people, what they do is they make a mistake, they hide it, and they don't ask for help. And you got to seek help in IT when you're stuck on something. Like I'll give you like a real scenario, like what happened. I don't want to interrupt. I know your story is actually really good, but what happened to me yesterday was I spent 3 hours on a laptop, and 3 hours is a lot of time, and it had a blue screen of death, and I actually got it to work after a blue screen of death. But the problem is that after I got it to work, because of the blue screen of death, it corrupted the whole computer. So you just have to re-image the whole computer. I couldn't fix it. So like audio wasn't working. Audio was all jacked up. VPN wasn't working. Just the web browsers wasn't working. You log in as the user, his whole profile was corrupted. So it's just like, at that point, like at that point of my time when that happened, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna waste any more time. I'm just gonna send him a new laptop. Like you have to know your limitations. Like
Absolutely.
that's what it is.
I mean, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. And in the industry, when you're working, time is money. And when you're looking after 40 or 50 users and they have an IT issue, you have a certain amount of time that you can say, well, if I can't fix it, ask for help. If I'm not getting any help, what other solutions can I do to get that person up and running as quickly as possible? And sometimes it may be a case, well, hey, I've got to re-image that notebook. And again, when we're talking about re-imaging, there are tools that will help you to re-image that notebook in 10 minutes, as opposed to manually rebuilding the machine with all the apps. So again, this comes back down to experience. But you're right, Kevin, knowing when to stop and say, help. And even now, experienced guys that I know, we had a server that fell over, a very critical server that had 17 VMs running on it, 17 VM servers running on ESX. And the reason that server got corrupted was because whoever set up the backups, they were just continuously taking snapshots. And of course, those snapshots need to go somewhere. So the person pointed those snapshots to the drive, the data drive. So obviously the data drive filled up, so the VMware server just shut down. And now you've got to try and remove those snapshots. And it sounds easy, but it's a really
tedious
job.
Tedious task.
It's tedious task. And that's just because somebody didn't ask for help when the backups weren't running. And if they'd asked for help, we could have avoided that. But again, he spent again, a good couple of hours trying to fix that. And it's like, well, hang on, we should be up. What's going on? And I mean, he disconnected the failover server. So even our failovers didn't work because he had unplugged the network connection. So obviously when it tried to fail over, there was nowhere to fail over to. And that just comes back to experience.
Yeah, there's no failover, there's no replication, there's absolutely nothing. And that's what I talk about, like for some companies, like you know, like the what's it, the cold site?
Yes.
And when you have a hot site, and then you have a hot site, and then like you have a site that is specifically created just so that if everything were to go down, everyone could just go to that site. Like if you're like, I'm in New York, right? So if you're in New York, they can go to New Jersey and just go over there, and there should be PCs over there, and you should be able to do everything. But sometimes you don't have that. Sometimes it just doesn't fail over at all. You just pretty much screwed.
I mean, absolutely. And another thing that a lot of IT engineers, and including senior engineers, make a mistake on is, you know, the backups will run and say, oh yeah, I've got to report the backups are running. And they don't check the backups. And sometimes, I mean, this has happened to me. I ran backups in a well-known piece of software, and it said the backups were running successfully and they ran properly. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to do a test. Let's see if I can restore to those backups. And I couldn't restore. It just would. It was correct. I'm like, the software said it completed. But so then we changed the software. And then when I spoke to the vendor, they said, oh, well, yeah, you need to download this update and that update. And I said, well, I have got that update on there. Oh, well, send us this and send us that. And they don't understand the issue when you're in a live environment. Look, I need this now. So you're right. Having a backup for the backup for the backup is really important. And this is where Azure comes into play, where I think Microsoft have really come to the party, because having that zone redundancy and high availability, it doesn't matter where you are. If you've got that high availability and those scale sets up and that zone redundancy set up in those different regions, then if that server does go down, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the users won't know because it'll fail over to the other one. Then you can, live to fight another day. And then you say, okay, well, let's fix this one up and see what caused it to fall over. Where in the past, you'd have to have a cold site or a hot site with duplicate hardware running so that if a failover did happen, but if something went wrong for some reason trying to connect to that and you couldn't get what you needed to get, you're right, then you kind of screwed. It's like you're up the creek without a paddle, mate. And sometimes it is what it is. And there's no use crying over spilt milk because it's gone. I mean, another good example that we had with a very well-known company here is I set up firewalls and stuff, and then I left that company because I had a better offer to go over to another company. And also I've been with that company for a long time. And I thought, it's time to move. I'm not growing anymore there. And when I left, I must have been gone for about 3 months, and that company got hold of me and they said, we've been hit with ransomware.
Oh, wow.
So I said to them, oh, and they said everything, all of our financial information, all of our data is down. So I said, well, I had firewalls in place. I had antivirus in place. I had security features in place, and I had Meraki firewalls, which are the best. In my opinion, they are best, as well as Fortinet and FortiGate. They're really good, but we had Meraki in there. And to find out that the guy who took over from me said, oh, we don't need Merakis, they're too expensive, and he pulled them out. And it says, oh no, Windows firewalls, good enough.
No, it doesn't work that way.
And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. And the boss, trusted him, said, okay, that's fine. And of course, they were hit with ransomware. So I said, well, where's the backup? Yeah, that's also corrupted. I said, how can the backup be corrupted? Because that's on a separate VNet. So even if stuff gets onto that LAN, because the other LAN is a separate LAN, it's going to be a bit hard to jump across. And he's like, oh, well, I disconnected that cable because I didn't know what it was for. So I said, but you had all the documentation there. And he said, well, I didn't bother to read it because it was just too long. So I said to him, the reason documentation is there is for a reason. And I also found that a lot of companies, for example, this company that I've moved to, they were lacking on documentation.
That's not good. And
it's a common thing I'm finding,
Not interrupting you. I don't, because this conversation is so good. Like I'm getting pumped up actually. Like, my coffee is giving me energy. But you're a manager, right? So like, yes. I always tell people, I do Helpdesk stuff, right? We do Helpdesk stuff. I always tell people that you need to do documentation. Your manager will praise you if you do documentation.
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, documentation is tedious for an IT guy or an IT professional, whether it be a man or a woman. It's tedious and it's time consuming because you've got to document a lot of stuff. But that documentation will save your butt when things go wrong. Not only that, what happens if you get hit by a bus? All that knowledge is in your head. It's not, nobody knows how the network was set up. No one knows what's running on the system. And as most IT professionals would agree, I'll do that tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll do that on the weekend.
They don't do it.
And then they don't do it. Or they'll do some documentation, then they'll do half, and then they'll miss a whole lot and then do some more. So it really is important to document everything, including when I was migrating us into the cloud. I documented everything that was on-prem, what apps we have, right down to user accounts, everything, because as we move those over, I need to do a lot of things. And you don't just move things over. I created a pilot site because I need to be sure that my apps can run in the cloud, because let's just move everyone over and everything will work. Then some things don't work and some things do.
Not to interrupt you, do you have like this is a random question, because I had this for the users that I had worked with in my last job, because we were on Office 2010, right? Then I moved them over to Office 365, and they all had, Office 365 is the same as Office 2010. Outlook looks different. It's like an orange Outlook, right? Yes. Not to interrupt you, but did you have like I think it's called like pilot users?
Yes.
Where you're only implementing that software, the application for a set amount of users, like executives or VP, just 2-3 people. That's it, not the whole company as a whole. And then you do it little by little. You put people in it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, that's the way to do it. And I learned that the hard way. You always create a pilot group or a select users, and you move them over, and you get them to do their work live in the system. Sorry, the cat's jumping up on the table.
It's okay.
And you get them to test it out, and they'll come back to you. And the thing that causes a lot of strife with users and management, they're so used to seeing Outlook as this, and then all of a sudden you move to 365, Outlook is completely different. And now, things don't work. Where's my mail? And how did So
why does it look like that? I don't want it to look like that.
Yes, and then you move it back. I don't like it. And that also goes back to people not preparing properly. Because if you kind of say, like I've said to our staff, we're going to be moving to 365. This is what it looks like. We're going to start giving you some training on it so that you're aware of it. We're going to talk about it in your meetings with your other managers and other heads of department so that you're aware of what's going on. We're going to do a little presentation so you can see what the interface looks like. You can see what Word is going to look like. You can see what PowerPoint's going to look like. Because we were on Office 2010, believe it or not. I'm like, no, we need to get
really?
Microsoft don't support this anymore. Microsoft don't support this anymore. This is insane. So, and again, it was a big change for our users. But because I prepped them and kind of slowly made them aware of it and moved one or two people over, and they were, oh, this is awesome. This is better than the other one. They weren't caught with their pants down. They were like, oh, okay. I saw this in a PowerPoint. I know what he's talking about. Not only that, some of the users had already got to grips with using the 365 application. So when another user had an issue, they would scoot over to, oh, yeah, no problem. Let me show you, or scoot over to, I know how to do it. And
we did the exact same thing, man. Not to interrupt, we did the exact same thing. So yes. I had a Microsoft trainee, like an actual Microsoft person, train the users and the people in my job. This is my previous job. So that I moved them over to Microsoft Intunes for email, because they were using the native app. And there's no container or anything. We don't like that, right? We need to put security on everything. So then I moved them over to Office 365. They were on 2010. Like, why does it look blue and white? What happened to the orange icon for Outlook? And then they complained about Excel. They complained about Word and PowerPoint. But then when I got someone to actually train them, I actually moved them over little by little, not like in one shot. You don't do that. That's not what you do in IT. You don't move, you just randomly move a bunch of people. I have 220 people in this company. I only move 5 people. That's it. Then perfect. I wait like a week to pass, and then I move 5 more people. Then correct. 5 more people, and I keep doing it over and over again until we get everyone in the team. And it should be done by a month or something like that.
Correct. And that's the correct way to do it. And that's how I've done it as well. I mean, when I've worked at companies where we have like 600-700 people, you'll move 5 or 10 and then wait a week or 2 weeks and then move another bunch. Absolutely. Because not only that, in my opinion, if you just try and move everything one time, it's
be a disaster, man. It's a disaster.
Absolutely. I mean, I had a friend of mine who's been doing IT for 10 years. He decided he's going to move to 365, and they're going to move all their 60 users on the weekend, and they didn't even tell them.
Man, that's not good.
And they're going to move them over. So people came into the office on Monday, and it was a major disaster for him because, first of all the users no longer had their Office on their desktop because Office was uninstalled via a script, and they were told to log in. And it's like, well, I don't have a Microsoft account to log in. So there was a lot of drama around that. And then when they logged in, it was like, this is not what I wanted. There was almost a riot. I mean,
all the icons are gone. All the icons are gone. There's nothing there. You got to go to the start menu and put everything back. It's just like, oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then certain applications that they were running didn't want to work because you had to download certain updates or certain, the vendor had to give you a certain fix to make it run with 365. So he called me and said, hey, Ryan, we've got this problem. So I said, well, and I said to him, you're a dick because you've been doing this 10 years. I mean, he says, oh yeah, but it's my fault. Yeah, I didn't think, I was just under so much pressure to move everybody. The management were pushing me, and my boss was pushing me. I said, this is where you, as the IT manager, or as the senior architect, needs to have the courage to go back and say, no, this is not going to happen. We're going to have to do this and do that. And you'll be surprised how many people are afraid to talk to the big boss and say, no, this is not a good idea. They all want to agree with the boss. And, I'm one of these like, well, yes, I understand where you're coming from, but this is going to cause a lot of issues. And like I say, when I moved us, I had meetings with our directors and our major stakeholders, and I made them aware. And I said, this is what we're going to do. And they said, that's absolutely fine. I said, it's going to take a while to move us over because I've got to do it in stages. First of all, we've got to move people to Office 365. and then slowly move the other things across. And it took six months or so to get it done.
It's painful, man. It's painful
it's painful.
because you migrate people. The not to interrupt you, I like what you're saying. This is true. I agree with you. But the thing is that when you're migrating people over to Office 365 and they're on 2010, a lot of people love their add-ins, right? I mean, so what if the add-ins don't work on Office 365, and then you move them over and it's not supported by Office 365, then you're pretty much screwed. Like they can't even do their work. I mean, that's the issue. That's the other issue.
I mean, absolutely. So these are things that you need to take into consideration when you're moving stuff, when you're designing a solution. I mean, sometimes you may say, well, I want to move my data to the cloud. It depends. It might even be better just to keep that data on-prem and not move it into the cloud just yet. It depends what it is that's going to be moved. Who's going to manage it? Who's going to look after it? Because you can say, that's fine. I'm going to move my users into Azure. I'm going to move them into the cloud. I'm going to give you Office 365, but that still needs to be managed and maintained by an IT person in the company. Which IT person has the skill set to manage that? Because I've been in a company where the boss has got a third-party person to move stuff, and then, we'll look after it ourselves. And then it's like, well, yeah, this is a problem. We don't know how to look after this. I said, well, that's why you need an IT person to look after that. But that IT person can't just be any random IT person. They've got to have a bit of knowledge around the product in order to support it. Because even though they may support, for example, like say Office 2010, yes, there are some similarities, but 365 is different. So the issues that come up and the errors that come up are totally different as well. And it comes down to a lot of things as well. Like if you're running server 2008, I mean, I moved us from server 2008 to server 2012. And then of course, then we moved straight into server 2019. And now Microsoft have released server 2022,
yes,
which is in preview. And I can see where Microsoft are going, even with Azure. They're looking at hybrid solutions worldwide now. And companies will never get rid of their on-prem stuff because they invest too much money on it. So you will always have environments that are hybrid, that they're going to be a mixture of a cloud platform and an on-prem platform, whether that be Microsoft Azure or Amazon AWS or Google Cloud. I mean, even China are coming into the cloud with Alibaba Cloud.
Alibaba, yes.
And if you look at it, it's very similar to AWS. And Alibaba, believe it or not, is very, very big in China. It's China's #1 cloud platform. I mean, Azure and AWS are starting to make footprints. I mean, Azure and AWS are looking at putting a data center there because of the market.
The competition.
But again, we have India and these other countries as well that are close to China. So again, like you say, moving stuff into whatever cloud architecture you want requires an IT person with skills. Again, like I say to everybody, you can't be an expert in AWS. You can't be an expert in Azure. And you can't be an expert in cloud. People say, well, I want to get all the cloud certifications. Well, that's great, but let me ask you this. What does your company support? Why should I'm not trying to knock a certification. If my company supports Azure and I'm working for a company with Azure, a lot of companies do, because a lot of people are using Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft Office to do their applications with. I mean, a lot of people have Microsoft servers. A lot of people are going into Azure. I mean, Azure is the fastest growing cloud platform. I mean, I don't think Amazon realized how quick Azure would
catch up.
They
caught up.
Absolutely. They're catching up. I mean, the growth has been phenomenal. And again, if you're working in a company that supports AWS as their cloud platform, then learn AWS, because that's what you're going to do every day. Again, if you're using Azure, learn Azure as your core thing. And it's nice to learn AWS on the side, so at least you have an understanding of both solutions. But to try and be an expert in all of these solutions, it's just insane. Again, pick your track as well. What is it that you want to do? Do you want to do administration? Do you want to do security? Do you want to do DevOps? Do you want to do AI? Do you want to do databases? Mm-hmm. So again, you can't learn all of that. I mean, you can have some foundational knowledge around that, but choose your path where you want to go, because like I say, Microsoft have changed their certifications in terms of them being role-based certifications.
Yes, they're role-based now.
They're role-based. So
someone was asking a question, actually. They asked the question here in chat. They asked, like, what do you recommend for certifications? Those are the MCSA. It's no longer there anymore. So what do you recommend?
I mean, all of the MCSA, MCSEs, and MCD, MT are no longer there. I would say start off with Azure AZ 900 fundamentals.
AZ 900, okay.
That gives you a good base of what Azure is and what it's all about. It covers the core services like compute, storage, and networking. And those are the core services that you need in order to get you up and running with Azure and to become productive with Azure. Once you've done the AZ 900, then I would say do AZ 104, which is the Azure Administrations course, because that teaches you stuff like backups and site recovery. And that's a really good certification to have. Once you've got those two, then you can say, well, I want to learn security, the AZ 500, or I want to learn the AZ 900 database. But again, once you have, I would say the AZ fundamentals and the AZ administration, if you do those two certifications, then you will know where you want to go with your career, whether you want to specialize in something. And those two certifications are highly prized, and you'll be able to really expand with the cloud knowledge. And like I say, that'll get you going really good. Again, start with AZ 900, and that's the best place to start.
What's your thought process on the Server Plus? They just made a brand new one. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it, but I know CompTIA are also starting to come to the market, because CompTIA now do
hands-on training. They do hands-on training with cloud now. They changed all that.
With cloud now. Server Plus is good to do. You know, I would say, have some hardware understanding. Learn how to build a server. Learn how to install a server. I mean, yes, a lot of technology is in the cloud and runs on VMware, and it's virtualization, platform Hyper-V or whatever the case may be. But we still have on-prem servers. Those on-prem servers are still going to require you to pull out a hard drive, replace a hard drive, in some cases, replace a motherboard. In some cases, you may need to order a whole brand new server. So you've got to configure that server. I know the HP servers, when I ordered them not so long ago, they would come in pieces, and all it would have would be the bare metal box. You'd have to put the drives in. You'd have to get memory put in there. You'd have to, do you want to have one CPU? Or how many network cards do you want to have in there? So having a Server Plus or an A Plus certification is really important today. I mean, a lot of people say, well, we don't need it. Everybody's using virtual PCs and everything's virtualized. Yes, but this is the real world. A lot of people have notebooks. Your notebook that you carry around is not a virtual notebook. It's going to require a technician to fix it. So having the A Plus or Server Plus knowledge is going to give you the skills to troubleshoot hardware issues as well as software issues around hardware. So definitely is a valuable certification to have. So yes, if people want to do it, I'd say it's a good thing to do, if you can afford to do it.
I was going to ask you another question. So how's the hiring process work in New Zealand? Like, how do you get a job in New Zealand versus like where I live, where they ask for A+ and stuff like that? And probably over there is more like hands-on and more like you have to have job experience kind of deal. So what do you have to do over there in order for you to land a job in IT?
Right. In order to be considered to land a job in IT, you have to have some sort of IT qualification, whether it's A+ or Microsoft. A lot of the training centers do what we call an IT diploma, whether it's level 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's NZQA diploma. But if you want to really get a job, like I say, having a Microsoft or CompTIA certification is great. Once you've got that certification and you apply for a job and you go for the interview, the first thing that your manager is going to look at, or the person that's interviewing you, is how you dressed. How do you present yourself? And they're going to ask you some basic questions about yourself. What do you know about Microsoft? What do you know about AWS? What do you know about the cloud? What do you know about service? It's just a general to get to know you. And then they'll send you home. Then they'll call you back for a second interview. Here in New Zealand, you have like 4 interviews. Then they'll call you back for a second interview. And that second interview would be conducted with an IT person if you're applying for an IT job. So the person who'd be interviewing you might be your manager, and then he might have another technician with them or another engineer with them. Then they'll ask you some technical questions like, for example, what is Azure? Can you explain to me what Azure is? And then they'll go as far as, okay, here's a sandbox. Go ahead and create me a virtual machine using Azure. Or go ahead and install this hard drive on this machine and install Windows. So some of the companies actually get you as part of the interview to physically do something to see what you know, because what's happened in the industry is you get all these people that have got qualifications like you won't believe, and then you put them in front of a piece of hardware, or you give them a solution and they don't know how to fix it. And that can be detrimental to the company, because again, goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You could take too long to fix it, but most importantly, you could break it instead of fixing it. So they just want to gauge your knowledge. So once they gauge your knowledge, then they will probably call you back for another interview and find out how you gauge you on your attitude. I hire on attitude because I can teach you cloud.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yes.
You're a manager, so how would you hire? I was going to ask you that too.
I would hire on attitude, because if you have the right attitude, I can teach you anything. If you have a bad attitude, I can't teach you anything. I mean, for example, with the right attitude comes loyalty, comes respect, comes dedication. I mean, you can't teach dedication to somebody. You can't teach someone to be loyal. You can't teach someone to be respectful, So, I mean, you can, but it's just hard work. So, of course, I look at the qualifications. Qualifications are important, but also attitude. So, and I know a lot of other managers that I've spoken to hire based on attitude. I mean, knowledge is important, but attitude is really the key, because you need to be able to work with other people. And if you have the right attitude, like I say, then the rest is easy. When you hire somebody that has a bad attitude, like, I know everything, you can't teach me. And I've had people come in the interview, like, I've got A+, net plus on this is my first job, and I'm not considering anything under 75K. Take it or leave it. I'm like, well, hang on, you're here for the interview. And people are forthfront. They actually say that. The training center I went to said, I'm worth $100,000 salary. I'm like, yes, over time, but you don't have experience. So you got to gain experience. So when you hire somebody, like I say, a lot of things come into play. Do they have experience? Okay, no, they don't. Okay, that's not an issue. We can teach them that. Do they have some fundamental IT qualifications? That is important, because you don't want to start from the ground up if you don't have to. And do they have the right attitude? And if they have the fundamental qualifications and they have the right attitude, then I would put them right at the top of my list. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of people that think, well, I've got all these qualifications, I spent all this money learning, so I deserve the job. Well, there's a lot of other people as well that deserve the job too. So at the end of the day, you may come across 10 people that have really great attitudes. So you can't obviously hire all 10. So now you've got to filter them down and say, okay, which candidate best suits our environment? At the end of the day, you don't want to hire someone and they come to work late and they're sick often. I mean, I went down that thing. I made a mistake. There was one guy that where I was working as a manager for another company. He was in his late 40s. He didn't have any IT qualifications. He was made redundant on the job where he was before. So I thought, well, okay, he's got a bit of experience, I can teach this guy. You know, everybody deserves a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give this guy a chance and see.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 2 months, he was great. And then he wouldn't come to work on Mondays. Every Mondays he wouldn't come because he'd go out partying, and he wouldn't come to work on Mondays. Not only that, he started developing a thing. I knew, for example, it was 5 o'clock because that's what time people finish work, 4:30, 5 o'clock in New Zealand. We start at 7:30 in the morning. I knew it was 5 o'clock just by looking over to him. He's not at his desk. He's gone home. I knew exactly it was lunchtime because he'll take his lunch breaks exactly when it was. Even if he was helping a customer, he'll put that customer on hold and go for his lunch. And so you kind of learn the hard way. And then even when I sat down with him, I said, look, you know, do you have problems at home? How can I help you do your job? Because a lot of companies in New Zealand are amazing. They don't like to just get rid of people. They say, okay, you're having an issue. What can we do to help you? Because we really want to keep you. You know, we went through the process of hiring you. I mean, a good example, someone said to me, oh, you hired this one IT guy and he actually bricked that server. So that server was like 25 grand. So you've just thrown 25 grand down the drain. I said, no, that's a $25,000 investment I've made in him. I said, he's going to be a good engineer. I said, that's an investment. And obviously, you know, I sat down with him. I said, what you did was not good, but let's learn from this and let's move forward. Where a lot of people say, well, you're fired, you're out the door, there you go. And then they would rake them over the coals in front of everybody. I don't do that. I normally would call the guy quietly aside and say, look, we don't do things this way. This is how we do it. And yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, you've made a mistake. Yes, it's quite a major mistake, but I'm not going to fire someone because the next $25,000 out the door. I'll rather invest a little bit more in him. And not only that, when he realizes that you're there to support him, that guy will go to hell and back for me. And that guy ended up being one of the best engineers I had in my team, one of the best engineers. And his attitude was absolutely amazing. And people were just astounded, like, well, you know, you should have got rid of the guy. I said, well, why? I said, if you get into an accident with your car, should I take your driver's license away from you because you had a crash? It's your first time driving. Someone smashed into you. It wasn't really your fault, or it may have been your fault. That you don't deserve to have your license taken away. And it's the same thing as well. But also, it's you've got to weigh every situation up as well, and determine what consequences go with different situations. And that's, as an IT manager, that's you gauging and interacting with your staff. A lot of managers will sit in their office and not talk to their staff, and just delegate. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, and just tell me what's going on. If you've got an issue, let me know. I mean, that's great. That's their job. You want to give them the freedom to do that. But at the same time, it's your job to know where your people are and what they're doing and what they need. And if people are struggling, they'll be scared to come and tell you because they don't want to look like an idiot. They don't want to look like, oh, I've just started, like I don't know what I'm doing. So they'll keep quiet. But if you interact with them and spend a bit of time with them, you get to know them. And then not only that, you also find out their strengths and weaknesses. And you can say, well, okay, I put you in here, but I'm going to move you to this team because this is where you're going to flourish, because I can see the skills you have. And so it's building a relationship with them, but it's not just with your team, it's with your customers as well. Because if your customers, something goes wrong and you've got that relationship with your customer, you say, yes, okay, I know your site's down. This is what's happened and we're doing everything we can to resolve it. They won't be happy, but they will be grateful that you got hold of them and let them know what's going on instead of leading them down the garden path. Yeah, we'll have it fixed in an hour. Yeah, we'll have it fixed in 10 minutes. Well, we'll have it fixed shortly. Instead of saying, look, no, there is a bit of a major outage. We're working to get it resolved. And we'll let you know as soon as it's done. At least they're in the ball. You know, they know what's going on. And that's the key as well when you're hiring somebody as well. You know, do they have the confidence to say, okay, well, I've made a mistake. Are they going to come and tell me that they've made a mistake? Not only that, a lot of companies as well, if you don't ask, you don't know. So when you go for an interview, you know, I always have the analogy, switch the questions around, ask the manager, why are you here? What brought you to this company? How did you start on the help desk, or did you work up? Is there room for me to grow? What are my prospects? Do you provide training? Do you, will you pay for my exams if I pass? So there's all these things that come into play when I'm interviewing a person. So when a person turns around and says to me, so why did you work here? And I'm like, now I'm talking to someone that's got a bit of courage, and I'm talking to the right person, as opposed to people just sitting there quietly with their arms folded and nodding.
I was gonna say, not to interrupt you, I was gonna say that when you go to a job interview, a lot of people, and I teach this, by the way, because I mentor people too. So I teach this, by the way. A lot of people, when you go to a job interview, because I know you're an IT manager, you interview people, right? Yes. So when you go to a job interview, a lot of people give you the same generic, boring definition and answer. You don't want to do that. So you want to have an actual conversation with the manager and engage with the manager, because you don't want to just be in the room and the manager's talking the entire time, and you're having this interview with him, and then you're just quiet the entire time as the person that's doing the interview. You have to know how to stand out and actually don't give a definition, but give like a story, or talk about your lab, or talk about something interesting, formulated in a story kind of way, not like DNS, domain name server. Like you want to give them like an actual story that will actually create a conversation with you and the hiring manager. That's usually what I tell people.
I mean, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. And that's what I like about people as well, because you're right. Here in New Zealand as well, so many people will if you ask them, what is DNS? They'll say, well, DNS is this. And everyone will tell you that. I mean, if you say to them, okay, what mistakes have you made, and how did you fix them? Mm-hmm. Then they have to sit there and think about it. Or you'd ask them a technical question. What do you know about VLANs? And some of them are like, oh, and you think, well, okay, if you don't know, have the courage to say, look, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn.
Exactly.
So that's where it comes in, and there's an old saying, fake it until you make it. Be confident, say, look, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm a fast learner as well. Mm-hmm. And people appreciate that, because like you say, a lot of the people that I've interviewed as well, I mean, we're in the process of interviewing someone to help with our Azure platform. And I've had so many people come in. I'm like, why are you coming out? Oh, well, it's a job. I need a job. I'm like, well, everybody needs a job. Where are you working? Oh, I'm working on the help desk at this company. Well, why do you want to leave? Well, because this looks like the job I need. I'm like, well, that's that. Yeah, and this is what comes out of their mouths. And you sit there sometimes, and even as a manager, your brain is like, did I actually hear that? And then some people say, well, I'm here for the interview, but, you need to let me know, because I'm going somewhere else for another interview as well, and I might take that job instead. and you think, well, hang on. And then you've had people who come and say, look, I was made redundant due to COVID. I worked in IT. I'm looking at this. And then you'll have people saying, you ask them, what are the salary expectations? And some of them are well within the ballpark. And then some of them are just insane, like, I need this and I need that. And I know when you go for a job, you always want to try and earn more than the previous job you were at. You're always trying to better yourself and grow. But sometimes it's not about salary. I mean, salary is important, it pays the bills, but it's about growth in terms, okay, well, the company can't give you a big salary. What else can they give you? Can they provide you training? Will they pay for your exams? Can they give you certification? Do you get a night shift allowance if you're on call? So there's all these other things that you as the interviewer can offer the person, or the person needs to say, okay, well, I came there, but this, it's not such a great salary, but what other perks do the company offer that do this? I mean, a lot of companies in New Zealand pay the internet and phone for a lot of their IT guys, because they work remotely. Oh, wow. They pay their full, it's part of the deal. We'll pay for your full internet. Mm-hmm. We'll pay for your phone bill. We'll pay for your exams. We'll pay for 5 courses or 4 courses a year that you want to do. If you want to get a subscription with a cloud provider like a Cloud Guru or Linux Academy or whatever, we'll pay for that training for you. So, that adds up, and people kind of say, well, that's not what I'm really after. And you're like, well, okay. That's great. And then some companies can say, yeah, well, we can match that. We can give you a good salary, and we can do this as well. But some companies, like I say, it just depends on their budget. And again, it also depends on you as the individual. being able to engage with the manager. Once you engage with the manager and you say, well, what can you offer me? Okay, I know the salary is this, but what else is there for me? Is there room for me to grow? Is there room for me to get a salary increase down the line? You know, what other tangible benefits can you give me that I can look forward to? And you'll be surprised what the companies will come back to you. I mean, some people might even say, okay, look, we'll pay your fuel, you know, or we'll pay for your bus or your train ticket. It's part of the deal. So there's all these things that come into play. And like I say, New Zealand is a small country. I mean, there's only 4.5 million people in the whole country. And a lot of products that get launched by Microsoft and AWS normally get launched in New Zealand first, because New Zealand is the perfect test bed for testing applications worldwide. And again, the skill set that you bring to the table is also important. But again, I would say at the end of the day, you know, have confidence in yourself, you know, be willing to make mistakes, admit you've made a mistake, don't hide it. Say, I've made this mistake. How do I fix it? Take ownership. Don't point the finger. If you take ownership, that's also amazing, but also give credit where it's due as well. If your colleagues taught you how to fix something, don't say, look how I fix it. I fixed this. You know, a lot of people do that. Say, yeah, I fixed this, but Billy next door or Jane next to me showed me how to do it. So Jane also deserves some of the credit. And if you start having that type of attitude, giving credit where it's due, learning yourself and willing to grow and learn, then you will succeed. A lot of people sometimes are stuck on the help desk for 5 or 6 years. And I say to them, well, why are you on the help desk for 6 years? What was the reason? And a lot of them have said, well, we were too scared to move because I'm comfortable in what I know. So if I move with the help desk, it means I have to learn something new. I have to learn about more complex issues. And I don't know if I'm capable, you know. There's so many other people out there that's more smarter than me, you know. I'm at the bottom of the food chain. I'm not that good and I'm not that smart, or, you know, I'm a woman, or, you know, I'm just a junior person. Rubbish.
You get imposter syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to grow, get out of your comfort zone. And if you're out of your comfort zone and you struggling to learn, that's good, because it means you're learning something new. And again, you can pass that knowledge on to somebody else. But not only that, your company will see what you've learned. People will talk and see what you've learned. And someone said to me, well, okay, you want to hire somebody and you're hoping for them to stay at the company for 5 years. What's to stop them from moving after 6 months? Nothing. But train them well enough so that they don't want to leave, but well enough so that if they do leave, they can get a good job. That's my philosophy. Train them well enough so that they don't want to leave, but if they do, they can get a better job down the road. And that's how I look at people that I work with. I mean, I've done work with consultants who have been doing IT for like 30 years, and some really smart guys, and they don't know everything. They'll say, hey, Ryan, how do I do this? I'm like, wow, okay, he's asking me for something. Wow, this is great. I mean, some of them know how to do it. They're probably just testing you as well to see, you know, how you are. But again, like I say, another thing I would say to people getting into the IT industry, going for interviews, again, like I say, dressing smart, arriving on time for your interview, not straight out the car and straight into the door. Arrive 15 minutes early, get prepped, find out information about the company. You'll be surprised how many times people have come for interviews. It's okay, well, what can you tell me about our company? I had a look at the Google website and this is what I found. Like, okay, well, anybody can do that. You know, a lot of them won't even come with any documentation. One lady that came from an interview had a little folder all bound up. These are all the directors. This is when the company started. This is what you've done. These are the type of products you do. This is the type of IT that your system has. It's like, wow, she really did her homework. And straight away, she's on top of the pile because of that research. But a lot of people don't do that. You know, they think, oh, well, I've got an interview tomorrow or the next day. And it's okay, well, I've got an interview tomorrow. Heck, let me quickly jump on the web and do a bit of research, spend 2 or 3 hours or an hour even getting as much information. Let me print it out. If I can't print it out, let me make notes and take the notes with me. So at least when you're in front of the person that's giving you the interview, they can say, wow, this person's done research. I mean, for our Azure position, I interviewed so far 50 people and only 3 of them took the effort to learn about our company.
Wow.
Only 3. The rest did not. Oh, what I saw on Google.
You got to do your homework, man.
And it was like, thank you, dustman, because you got so many interviews to go through. I mean, obviously, I'll get back to every single one and say you weren't successful, and move on. And it's as simple as that. But at the end of the day, being prepared, arriving 15 minutes early, you'll be surprised. I mean, one guy who was supposed to come for an interview, came half an hour late. I'm like, dude, I was stuck in traffic. I said, that's not my problem. I said, you know the interview's at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you should have made a plan to be there at 9 o'clock, not 9:30. You should have left home earlier, to be there on time. It doesn't work the other way around. So that again shows me the attitude of that person as well. So a lot of IT managers, especially in New Zealand, look at qualifications. Yes, they're important, but attitude, they're starting to realize attitude is the better way to hire somebody, because the rest you can teach.
Makes sense. And Ryan, Ryan, man, you're oh my God, you're like such a wealth of knowledge. You have no idea. Like, people actually in chat are actually saying that Ryan is awesome. Like, Ryan has so much information. Like, I could grab your brain and just embed it in my head. But I want to stop for a second, and then we'll continue talking. Can you tell me about your YouTube channel? I know you have a YouTube channel.
Yes, I started a YouTube.
And let me share my screen and show everyone the channel.
Yep.
Let me share the screen, and because I know you do it for free and you help people with Azure and stuff like that.
Yes. I started this YouTube channel to give people hands-on experience with Azure, like real world labs, not just, let's walk through a lab because we feel like we want to do a lab. Let's do something that they can take away and learn in the real world. And I've had a lot of people come back to me that I said, hey, Ryan, I've actually learned how to actually deploy a server in our environment. We've set up a management server for Active Directory. I haven't done that before. I was just managing Active Directory through the Azure Active Directory portal, which is fine. But if you've got on-prem stuff, at least they get that familiar look and feel of the traditional Active Directory. Again, I've gone through, how to create a VM, how to create a backup, how to restore backup. And I've gone through the step-by-step process so that people can actually see how it's done. Because, some people will create stuff and they do little tweaks in the background and the lab works perfect. Then you go home and you try the lab and you go, well, this is not working. I mean, a good lab that I've done there is you can create a file share in Azure. But now when you try and connect to the file share, you'll get an error saying port 445 is blocked. And that's because ISPs block that port. So how do you get around that? If you're at home, and I've got a little notepad file where you can actually connect to Azure, still using the secure key, and map your drive as a network drive. I've had 5 people do that in their Azure environments. And they say, wow, this is awesome, until we get this port unblocked, or we talk to our firewall guys to get the port open to allow access. That's great. And like I said, the channel's absolutely free. I try to add 2 videos or 3 videos every week onto the channel. There's no charge. I'm just wanting to share as much knowledge that I can with everybody. I mean, again, I don't know everything. A lot of you guys may already know how to do this. A lot of you may not. But at the end of the day, it's a good foundation to begin with. I mean, for example, if you want to create your Azure account, I've got a little thing there about creating budgets and alerts. So you can go and create your free account on Azure. And you might say, well, my budget is $10 a month to spend on Azure VM. So you don't get your credit card bill and you think, wow, I've got a $50 bill. Heck, I've got bills to pay. How am I going to pay this? How do I know that I've reached my limit? So I've spoken a little bit about budget. So you can create your budget from scratch, and how it will help you save money, so that if you're learning from home within your own environment, you can actually walk away and say, I know how to do this. I mean, I had one guy come to me and say, well, that's great, you've done Azure, but we use Linux. And I want to be able to RDP to a Linux box from Azure. No one's been able to show me how to do that. So I've created a lab saying remote desktop to a Linux virtual machine, where you actually download Linux, you install it, and you install the tools, and you actually RDP into a graphical user interface, whether it be Ubuntu or Fedora or whatever version you're using that you're familiar with. So at least you can say, well, hey, that's how I manage my Linux machine. You may have people that use Linux in your work environment and not Windows, and they need to have a graphical user interface. I mean, how do you install a graphical user interface on Linux? That little video will show you how to do that. And I explain step by step as I go through. And I do it live. I don't kind of like pre-do the lab and say, there, it's working. I do it live. So if I do make a mistake, you can see that mistake as well, because I guarantee you, if I make it, you're going to make it. And the whole thing that I want to do is try to teach you confidence, but not only that, if you see someone else doing something and someone says, I try to do this and I've just had a mistake happen, you know, I just can't figure it out. You can say, well, hang on, I know how to do this. I saw this somewhere. So again, I've spoken about, for example, like Azure Databox. If you talk to a lot of people and you say, well, do you know what Azure Databox is? 90% of people doing Azure fundamentals don't know what Azure Databox is. Mm-hmm. It's a piece of hardware that Microsoft shipped you that you can copy all your data onto and ship it back to Microsoft, and they'll upload it into the cloud for you. But there's some kickers. For example, if you damage that data box or you lose it, Microsoft will send you a $40,000 bill. So people are not aware of things like that. So I try to make my labs interesting and exciting. I started off, like say, with some very fundamental labs. My channel's been going less than a year. And I'm going to move through and I'm going to do security. I'm going to do live migrations. I'm going to do migrating from on-prem servers to Azure, having a hybrid environment. How do we migrate Active Directory over? I'll create and do this live, so that if you are wanting to move to Azure and you've got Active Directory on-prem, well, how do I move it into Azure? I'll have step-by-step training videos that will show you download, install AD Connect, how to prep your on-site domain controller to move it into, so that Active Directory and all your accounts move over into the cloud. A lot of people say, well, if I've moved my users into the cloud, I can just delete my Active Directory on-prem. No, it doesn't work that way, because you're going to have a lot of synchronization issues unless you do a full migration. There are some little I gotchas that you learn the hard way. So my goal is to try and make you aware of those pitfalls, so you don't fall down the same holes that I fell down when I was learning Azure. You don't get the wrong information, because there's a lot of training videos out there. There's a lot of stuff on a lot of the YouTube channels out there. Some of it is good. Some of it is you'll work through it and you think, well, I can't get this lab to work. No matter how hard I try, it just will not work. And that's because people have done stuff in the background and you're not aware of it. So again, my channel is there free. I hope people find the videos interesting. I mean, if people are looking at doing something that they want to talk about, or they, hey, Ryan, I want to do a video on this, I'm more than happy to take that request on board and look at creating that video. Again, I've got a nice little video up there on Azure certifications. Why get certified? What's the big deal? You know, why should I get a certification? You know, what's the benefit? What are the pitfalls? And that will give you the benefits and the pitfalls of why you should get Azure certified. Again, today I created 2 little videos that I've just posted up, like Azure Admin Center. That's still in preview mode. And I haven't just said, well, let's install Azure Admin Center. There we go. I've actually gone into, showed you how to open up PowerShell, how remote desktop works, how the registry works, how to actually create a process to give you some fundamental knowledge. So somebody does talk to you in an interview. So, you know, an IT manager might just throw something out there at you and say, well, what can you tell me about Azure Admin Center? Have you used it? You can say, okay, I know what about it. Or someone might say, well, what can you, well, tell me why you got Azure certified, you know? Why didn't you do AWS, or why didn't you do Oracle? You know, again, a lot of companies that I've interviewed, or companies I know, other guys I've interviewed, they've said to the IT person, one of the top questions in the interview is, what is Azure? Can you tell me what is Azure? I don't want a whole story. I want the basics. Tell me basically what is Azure. So, you know, and you'll be surprised how many people are like, well, it's it's Microsoft Cloud Platform. Well, yes. What
Can you
else
tell
is
me
it?
more about that?
Can
Yeah.
you tell me more? You run
Mhm.
virtual machines. Well, everybody knows you can run virtual machines in it. What can you tell me about containers? What is data lake? You know, what is a
Mhm.
function? And I've broken it down in, should I say, Ryan language. This is what a function is. I haven't given you the Microsoft big jargon, long words, because you don't need that. You need to know, if someone says to you, what is data lake? You say data lake is used for storing big data, and it's used for analytics, period. If you're not doing analytics and you don't have huge amounts of storage, don't use data lake. It's as simple as that. You know, so it's that type of knowledge that I'm wanting to pass on to users, so that they can go away and they can say, wow, I've learned something. We'll say, oh yeah, we already know about that. And that's great as well, because at the end of the day, I've tried to cover things that I would learn. I mean, Microsoft have the interactive shell in the CLI, interactive mode. A lot of people don't know about that, where, you know, if you say to someone, you need to learn the CLI in Azure, people get, oh, I can't remember, was it container Azure get or AZ get? What was it? You can actually go into interactive mode, and it actually highlights a nice little, for example, the moment you type in container, it'll give you a list, containers, what it is, or VMs, whatever the case is, or regions, and the different regions. Is it US? Is it South Africa? Is it Australia? So interactive mode, again, it's just basics to get you familiar with it so that you can get up and running. And some of the commands that I've taught in the CLI, I've broken them down. What does this command do, and how does it work? Because again, you'll go for an interview and someone will say to you, okay, here's an example of an Azure command. Show me in this Azure JSON file, where's the storage group or the resource group? You should be able to not be an expert in it, but you can say, there it is, and point it out. You know, you don't have to know a lot, but having a solid foundation in anything will prepare you for greater things down the road. But not only that, if you have a solid foundation of what it is you're wanting to learn, the rest is easy as you move along. If you say, well, I want to learn about security, and you jump straight into security without knowing the fundamentals, you're going to struggle. And you say, well, I don't want to do this. This is too hard, or this lab's taking too long, or I'm just doing this lab, you know, A, B, and C, step 1, step 2, step 3. You know, it's like, well, anybody can do that. It's a case about using your brain. You've got some gray cells up there, you know. Play in Azure. Yes, you guys are going to make mistakes when you create labs. I do too. That's great. Delete them and start again. Create resource groups, delete them, create them again, delete them. Do the lab a couple of times, and then it'll sink in. If you do the lab once, it'll go in one ear and out the other ear. If you do the lab 2 or 3 times, you will remember it. You know, repetition sometimes is a good thing, because it reinforces knowledge on how to do stuff. Again, I've got a nice little lab there. How do you lock resources so that someone doesn't accidentally delete them? Because we had that. An Azure guy, an IT guy went and accidentally deleted some resources. And that was because he didn't know what he was doing was wrong. So you need to say, okay, well, I've got critical data. How do I protect that data to stop it from accidentally being deleted? So I'm trying to create many videos as we go along on a wide range of topics on Azure. And so that at least, and the reason I've chosen Azure is because it's very big in New Zealand, it's very big worldwide. It's where Microsoft are moving. It's where all the Microsoft certifications are moving to. And it's such a huge topic. And I guarantee you, being in IT now, if you're looking for your first job or you're looking at getting into the industry, I guarantee you the company that you're going to will have no choice but to move to Azure in the future if they haven't already moved to Azure. Mm-hmm. For simple reasons, for security, updates. I believe Microsoft, in the future, you will no longer be able to purchase a OEM version, should I say, or a CD or a USB drive with Windows. I think Microsoft will start offering it as a cloud platform. Windows 10 has been offered now as a subscription. So a lot of companies now don't go and buy a Windows 10 license. They will go and sign up for an Azure subscription and pay their $9 or $8 a month for Windows 10. And if Windows 16 comes out, they'll get Windows 16 free. Again, Windows comes out with so many different versions as well. You've got home, you've got professional. So it all depends on the version of Windows that you want. But yeah, if you want to learn about Azure and you want to learn about the fundamentals, yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you don't want to subscribe, go and have a look.
I told him to subscribe to you, man. You have some good content. That's some really good content. I'm trying to get you to at least 1,000 subscribers because that would be
amazing. Yeah, I'll be so happy.
So you could do like live stuff. And so when you get 1,000 subscribers, you go live. So if you guys could subscribe to him, and I'm not doing this because I feel like it. I'm doing it because he deserves it, because he's doing it for free. Like, this costs money, by the way. Azure is not free. You got to pay for it. That costs money.
Absolutely. So. And again, like I say, at the end of the day, you know, I am so grateful for the people that subscribe to the channel. I'm so grateful for the people that even take the time to view the videos, because that means, you know, you're taking your time, and your time is valuable. So I appreciate you taking the 10 minutes or 20 minutes to watch a video or download a video or go through that lab. So again, I'm grateful. And again, I'm really excited to share knowledge. And again, even I'm happy to work, like I say, with you, Kevin, later on, if you're wanting to do a live lab so that your users can actually say, hey, let's choose a topic.
Oh, definitely. And we will do that.
Let's do a topic live.
Yeah, we will do that. Mm-hmm.
And if the users have got their Azure portals open, we can all do it together, you know.
Yes.
So and you know, throw questions at each other and find out, well, okay, this is how we do it. And that's what it's about. It's about sharing the knowledge, or should I say sharing the love at the end of the day. You know, we all work hard, we all have jobs. Some of us, you know, are studying as well, which is also hard work. People think, well, you're studying, it's not like working. Hang on, studying is hard work. Trust me, I've been down that road. So again, I appreciate everybody, you know, that comes to the channel and taking the time to view stuff. And again, I will start adding videos. Like I say, I add videos every week, at least try and do 2 or 3 videos every week on various topics. And I hope to have, like I say, hundreds of videos up there for guys. And then I'll start categorizing them so that we can say, well, you want to learn about Active Directory. Here's all the videos on Active Directory. You want to learn about networking. Here's all the videos on networking. You want to learn about security. Here's all the videos on security. You want to learn about migration. Here's all the videos on migration. So as the channel grows, again, I will start tagging and categorizing stuff so people don't have to trawl through everything to find what they're looking for. They know, okay, I want to learn about Active Directory. They can go straight to Active Directory and obviously filter it down and find out what they wanting to get. But like I say, at the end of the day, my goal is to share with everybody as much as things that I've learned, And again, it's all free and it's ad free as well. So you're not going to be bombarded with ads. You can just download the videos or watch the video live. You can watch it on your iPhone or on your mobile device, or you can watch it on your PC or on the train or on the bus or in the car. I'm just here to share as much as I can with the next guy.
You're
or the next
awesome. You're
person.
awesome, Ryan, man. That's good for you. And God bless you for doing that, for helping people in IT. I was gonna say, and you're a trainee too. Like you train people. Like you train
Yes,
people. You actually worked and trained people. That was like your full-time job. So
yes.
so people were asking for the link for your LinkedIn profile, and I just added it in chat. So you guys could just add him if you like. There it is.
Yep.
Connect with him on LinkedIn. He's actually pretty big on LinkedIn. Yeah, we're really big on LinkedIn actually. So I
That's good.
just saw that. But yeah, Ryan, like I tell people, like, like I'm here to help too. Like we love to help people. And that's why I wanted to get you in on my YouTube channel, because let me just stop sharing for a second. I wanted to get you on my YouTube channel because it's not like all about like, it's not all about like you doing stuff and not helping people. You got to help people too. Like
Yes.
I have to help people. And I saw you had that same energy and that same passion that I have to help people. That's the reason why I wanted to talk to you and bring you on my channel. Like you're doing it out of your bottom of your heart, which is, it's kind of hard to find these days, in IT. Very hard.
Absolutely. I mean, your channel's amazing. Like I said, I know quite a few IT guys here in New Zealand that have looked at your channel, and they have gleaned so much knowledge from your channel. So, like, you may think, well, I've stuck my channel up YouTube. There we go, and I've got people watching my videos, but I don't think you realize just how far-reaching the effect you have on your videos. I was speaking to another IT guy in India, and he watches your channel. He watches it every time you release a video. He watches it. Him and his friends watch it. I mean, and it's like, wow. And then I spoke to someone else the other day in South Africa. They watch your channel as well. So I mean, I think, at the end of the day, I don't think people realize just how far-reaching social media has got today, and how it helps people, and how you help people and you don't even realizing that you've helped people way across the ocean. And again, like I say, you're right. It's very hard to find people that want to share knowledge. And you'll find as you get into the IT industry, I've worked with IT professionals that are really smart, but they keep the knowledge to their chest. And like, well, I really don't want to show you, because if I show you, then I'm not number one in the company, number one.
Or
if
lose my job.
If I show you, I might lose my job. But secondly, if I show you, then I'm not the go-to guy anymore. There's somebody else. I'm not the go-to woman. There's somebody else. So a lot of people still have that mentality, well, go away and figure it out. Meanwhile, if you had just taken the time, or she had taken the time just to explain to you, it would save you hours of work. And, at the end of the day, I believe at the end, you should share your knowledge, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to do stuff. We all want to get to Rome, and there are many roads to get to Rome. And you're right. A lot of people will share the love, but a lot of people, I would say the majority of people, don't like to share knowledge too much. They like to keep their cards close to their chest, which is the old way of thinking. It's old school. This is the future. We need to embrace it. The younger generation are the future in IT.
Yes.
And, the people will say, look at these young kids. They freaking don't know anything. Well, yes, because you're not taking the time to teach them. How do you expect someone to learn something if you're not going to teach them? I mean, you're very quick to judge him or her, and very quick to put him or her down. Oh, look at them. They don't know this. They don't know that. Well, hang on. So you were born smart. You woke up clever. You were a genius. You also had to start at the bottom of the ladder somewhere. So, a lot of people also, I think, forget where they came from as well. They move up the food chain, and it's like, well, I don't have time. I'm a manager now, so I can't help you with that. At the end of the day, I always will stop and help someone, and I won't talk to them while I'm typing. I will stop typing, turn my chair around, and look at them and hear what they have to say. I won't, talk to me while I'm typing. You're not listening to me. I'm trying to ask you for help, and you're typing away on your keyboard. A, it's inconsiderate. B, it's arrogance. And C, it's disrespectful. If I come and ask you for help, stop what you're doing. That 2-minute thing that you're typing or that thing you're doing, even if you're doing a deployment, 2 minutes is not going to break the deployment. Pause it, stop it for 2 minutes, turn and face him or her. How can I help you? Okay, that's quite a big issue. I can't help you at the moment. Let me finish this and I'll come back to you. Or go and see this person. They may be able to help you. But people don't do that. Managers don't do that. And it's sad because, like you say, it's very rare you'll find somebody now that takes the time to help somebody and listen to what they have to say. Because some people say, well, this guy just can't get it. You have people in the team complaining, this guy's useless. I mean, you do get some people that are not that good in IT. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, at the end of the day, perseverance pays off. It can be a hard haul getting them up to speed. But it's very quick, we're very quick to judge people.
You want to give a chance. You got to give them a chance.
We don't give them a chance. Managers don't give them a chance. I know senior engineers just don't have the time for junior engineers. A lot of senior engineers do, but a lot of them don't. Like, go and learn. Like I had to learn. Well, yeah, I'm coming to you so that it's a shortcut to learn. I'm not trying to bypass anything. I'm just trying to, why should I have the old analogy? The wheel's been invented. Why recreate it again? If you know how to create a user in Azure, show me. Don't tell me to go away and spend an hour on how to learn where I can do that in 5 minutes. I believe I have an old saying. I can give you a fish and I feed you for 1 day. But if I teach you how to fish, I feed you for life. And it's the same with IT. If I teach you, you won't keep on coming asking me questions. You'll soon figure it out yourself and you'll soon learn how to do stuff. But if, again, you need to give someone that flexibility, you need to take the time to engage with them and share with them. And it's important. And I think it's one of the things that is lacking in the industry. And again, like I say, it's no disrespect on guys out there. There are a lot of amazing instructors, a lot of amazing guys out there that are so happy to share the knowledge. But again, as you and I know, there are a lot of people out there that just won't. I learned the hard way, so you have to learn the hard way. It's like, well, no, that's not how things work anymore. Times change, things change. I mean, we don't use Windows 95 anymore. We're in the cloud. In the next 5 years, the cloud is going to be a different ball game altogether.
Be very dominant.
Correct.
Very dominant. So.
It's going to be very dominant. If someone had said to you, I mean, when the cloud came out, I said to you guys, and even when Office 365 came out, I said, this is where the future is going. Oh no, this is just one of the other products that Microsoft offer. We're not going to move there. I've said to people and the companies that I was with, I said, we need to start looking at moving with the technology, because moving with technology does two things. It grows your business. It grows you as an individual. But secondly, that older technology is going to not be supported anymore. A good example is Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows Server 2008, Exchange 2010. Those are end-of-life products. If you move to the cloud now, it's Exchange 2019 or 2016. Some people have on-prem exchanges. They have Exchange 2013, Exchange 2016, and that's fine. They're moving up. But again, at some point, they're going to have to upgrade that as well, because that's going to be end of life in the next 10 years. Going by Microsoft's platforms and Microsoft's trend, every 10 or 11 years, products slowly get phased out. And I mean, believe it or not, you'll have people, we still have businesses running Windows XP. Yes. You're not going to believe this. I saw a company. I agree with you. I saw a company the other day running Windows 98.
Jesus.
Windows 98. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh no, this app only works with Windows 98. It doesn't work with Windows XP or Windows 7. So we've kept 98. I said, it's on the network. Yes. I said, you need to get it off the network and isolate it on its own. I said, because it's not being patched and it's just bad business to have something like that connected to the internet live. I said, you just don't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, someone said to me the other day, oh, well, that's not bad. Our companies, we still got 2 Windows 95 PCs running this application that only works with Windows 95. I said, well, why haven't you upgraded it? oh, it runs a VB6 application. I said, well, why don't you get your developers to upgrade the VB6 application to .NET or Visual Studio and migrate it over? Oh, that's a lot of hard work. so some of the excuses, well, okay, that's fine, so, and I'm finding that it's a common thing, people still run the older systems, and not because they want to. I think it's because they've built some of their business applications around it, and the developer who's written that program is gone or no longer around, and there's nobody that they know that can develop on VB6, because people that don't use VB6 anymore, that's 98, 2000 technology.
Yeah.
And then again, to migrate it over, they're going to have to pay a developer to do that. And some companies, well, why should I pay a developer to do it? I'm just quite happy to have it as it is. And go, well, okay, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the butt. And when it does, you'll reap the rewards and the consequences based on your decision. I said, it's painful, and you're the only one to blame for not moving forward. Some companies have had old applications, I know, and they've spent big money migrating them. And they've said it's the best financial decision they've done. But at the time, it's like, no, it costs money. Why should I do this? Give me a reason, and like most companies and most managers, when they want to migrate, the first thing they'll say is, why? This has been working like this for 10 years. Why should I move to the cloud? You hear all these stories about the hackers and ransomware. So, well, ransomware's got nothing to do with the cloud. In fact, the cloud will protect you from ransomware. So I said, at the end of the day, you need to, realize that technology changes and you need to move forward. And if you want your business to stay in business, you have to move forward. And people are working more and more remotely now with COVID, and but besides that, you have salespeople on the road 24/7. All of our salespeople, I think we've got like 40 salespeople, they're on the road all the time with their Microsoft Surfaces, and they work mobile, and they'll come into the office once a week for a meeting. They'll come in groups for a meeting, and then they're gone again, and they work remotely. And that's the nature of IT in today's industry. It's changing. And whether we like it or not, we have to grow with it. Do you want to stay behind, or do you want to move forward? That is your decision. The same as getting certification. Do you want to do Azure, or do you just want to do something else? That's up to you. But at the end of the day, having a cloud certification is definitely going to be worth its weight in gold as you move forward in IT. I mean, training guys, a lot of training institutions will say to you, oh, come and do a course with us. It costs X amount to do a course, but you can get a job earning 100 grand or 80 grand. And yes, that's with experience. But again, if you have a good foundation, you can get that job that'll pay you 70 grand a year, and you can move up. I mean, that's exciting for somebody that was on a help desk that was earning far less.
So very quickly.
Yes, so you can move quickly. So people also have this analogy. I've been stuck on the help desk, I can't move. And another thing that people do is they will complain how bad the job is. And they will complain, this job sucks, I don't like it. Well, do something about it. Well, what am I supposed to do? Well, move. Well, I can't move because then I'm still going to be on the help desk. Well, get certified, get a qualification that will help you get off the help desk or move you from help desk level 1 to level 2. Because people will complain, I'm on level 1 and it sucks. And I've been on level 1 for 2 years and it sucks. Well, do something about it.
Yeah, do something about it. Stop complaining.
Stop complaining. Do something about it, and don't blame anybody. Stick your head down and move forward. And get in touch with people that can help you to grow. Find out in your company, is there room for me to move to another team? If there is, what qualifications do I need to be considered moving into that role? Our company, we always promote people internally before we hire externally. And this one person was on our help desk and they were complaining, I've been on here for 2 years and I don't like this job. And I applied for the jobs in ops, but I didn't get it. And they just don't like me. I'm like, well, No. What qualifications do you have for ops? None. But I've been here for 2 years. Well, so what? You don't have the qualifications to meet the job criteria. So if you're taking an interest and say to DevOps, can I sit with you on my own time, because on a Saturday morning for an hour or two, and learn a bit about DevOps, learn about this? They would have stood a chance of moving. And the one guy did that. He spent on his own time 2 hours every Saturday with the team, and he was the one that got the job. He didn't have the qualifications, but he got the job because he spent time with the guys and learned. And now he's going to go and write his exam next week, and good luck on him. And the other guys really hacked off. Like, he's only been here a year, and I've been here like 2 years. I'm like, he got off his butt and did something. Don't blame him. Don't blame the company. Blame yourself for not taking the initiative. If there's an old saying, if you complain, you remain.
I agree with that. That's a good saying.
If you complain,
very good
you
saying.
Will remain.
Yes, very good saying.
You know, and of course, if you want to move up, then make the move yourself.
Exactly.
And, yeah, it's as simple as that.
The only way you grow in IT is if you don't get stuck. Like Helpdesk, don't get stuck in Helpdesk, and if they're not promoting you or doing anything with you, and the company just doesn't do anything, you just move on to another company and call it a day and get certified. It's nothing to do with, most of that has to do with you, not the company itself. Like, you have to put in the work.
Correct.
That's just the way it is.
I mean, absolutely, you're right. You have to put in the work, and it's not easy, because if it was easy, every Tom, Dick, and Harry would be doing it. It's not easy. It's hard work. It takes time. And that's the biggest factor. I mean, you can pay for a training course, your 200 US or 100 US, whatever it is, a year for your training videos. And you can watch training videos until they come out your nose. But if you don't get in the trenches and spend time doing labs, getting dirty, getting into the grind, getting your hands dirty, you're going nowhere fast. You're just digging a hole around yourself. I mean, we can all watch videos until the cows come home. That's not going to help me get a job. What's going to help me get a job is the knowledge and the hands-on experience. And people come to me and they say, but I don't have hands-on experience. So how am I supposed to get the job? They say they want someone with experience, but yet I don't have experience. So how are they going to hire me? I say, well, do you have, for example, with Azure, have you created a free account? Have you created virtual machines? Have you created virtual networks? Have you created a firewall? Have you deleted virtual machines? Have you deleted firewalls? Have you created this and that? No. Well, there's the problem. So when you go for an interview, you say, well, look, I'm just out of training. I don't have a lot of experience, but I have my own Azure lab, live tenant, and I have the free tenant. You don't have to get a paid lab. You can get the free one. The free one allows you to create virtual machines. The only thing the free one doesn't do is a lot of security center stuff. But you don't need to know that. You can learn that later. You can do a lot of the core stuff without having a paid subscription. And then, you create labs. Say, look, I know how to create a virtual machine in Azure. I know how to create a container. I know how to create a resource folder. I know how to delete it. I know how to create a VNet. I know how to create a subnet. Straight away, the hiring manager will sit up and like, wow, okay. He's got his hands dirty. He's been in the trench. He hasn't just watched a video. Because if you practice and play, people say, well, how am I supposed to learn Azure? I don't know anything about Azure. My training videos are a good example. Go and subscribe to the channel, watch some of those videos, and then watch the video and do it in your lab. And
then actually do it, and then learn how to do it. And then you can talk about it.
Yes. Yeah. And learn how to do it. And you'll come away with so much satisfaction, like, wow, look what I've done. A lot of people are scared to sign up for Azure because they think, well, if I sign up for Azure, my credit card's going to be billed straight away. No, it won't. The only reason they need your credit card is because if you want to upgrade your Azure to a pay-as-you-go subscription, you can. And then you can upgrade to a pay-as-you-go, and you might say, okay, well, I'm going to give myself a budget of $10 a month. $10 a month will be enough for you to learn Azure, and it will unlock Security Center. Let me ask you this. How much do you spend on coffee a month? How much do you spend on takeaways a month?
You gotta invest in yourself. You gotta invest in yourself if you want to move up in the world. That's just the way it works.
Correct. And again, where you invest is where you grow. So again, if $10 is a small amount to pay,
It's
you might say,
nothing.
well, it's nothing. You might say, okay, well, I don't have $10, I've got $5. You can still set a budget for $5 in Azure. It'll unlock Security Center. You can see the different features of Azure. And of course, you set up a billing alert. So the moment you reach $5, it'll tell you, and then you can go ahead. And what you can do with your lab to save money, once you create a virtual machine, if you're not using it, stop it. So it's in a deallocation mode. If you don't stop it while it's running, you pay for it, because that's Microsoft's pay as you go, pay for what you use. If you're not using it, delete it.
Just delete it, get rid of it.
Yeah. And I would say when you create your virtual machines, create a resource folder and put your virtual machines and your network in that resource folder. When you finish the lab, just delete the whole folder. It'll delete and wipe everything clean for you. It keeps your Azure subscription clean. If you start creating virtual machines individually, it's going to be a bit of a mission to delete everything and which machines that I delete. If you don't want to delete the machine, stop it. Then you're not paying for it. You can create a server and fire up a server and run a server for an hour, and it might cost you, I don't know, $1, 50 cents. It won't cost a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to do the lab and then you clean up behind you so that your subscription's always nice and clean. And that way you are not going to be charged anything. And if you end up spending money, the maximum amount you probably spend a month is $10. Go up and clean up behind you, and your subscription will go forever. So don't let anyone say, well, if I sign up for a subscription, my credit card's going to be billed, and then I'm in trouble because Microsoft will just take my money. You say, well, set up a billing alert. That's the first thing you do. Give yourself a budget. And you can set your billing alerts the way it's designed. It'll send you an alert when you reach 50%. It'll send you another alert when you reach 75%. And it'll send you another alert when you're at 100%. So it kind of sends you alerts. Oh, I'm almost at my 50, at 90% or 80%. Okay, quickly go and delete that resource. Then you're not going to pay for it. So there are some resources that you will pay, but it'll be a small cost. But if you do your lab and then delete that resource, the cost is very, very tiny. Believe it or not, my Azure budget is $15 a month.
That's nothing.
I've created all of those labs on $15 a month.
That's nothing.
I mean, it's nothing. I mean, so at the end of the day, kind of think of it as, well, how much would you spend on coffee? How much do you spend on pizza?
Pizza, man.
It's the price of one pizza or Starbucks coffee, So kind of think of it that way. It's okay, well, I'm not going to have a coffee today. I'm going to take my coffee money and I'm going to use that for my Azure for the month. So
I was gonna say I'm not being rude or anything. I'm just talking I'm talking in chat while answering you. I'm not because I don't people they gotta get offended maybe because I'm talking in chat.
No,
I'm multitasking over here. So
yes.
but we'll continue talking. But yeah, man, man, you are a wealth of information. Yeah. Oh my god, like it's just like, what time is it over there right now?
It's just gone 5 o'clock in the morning here.
5 o'clock in the morning
in New Zealand. But also the reason
is it Sunday or
it's Sunday, yes, and it's because we're in we've just gone into daylight savings, so our time has changed because we're close to Antarctica. That's why we have this different time zones and stuff. So again, like I say, for me, I'm the time is not important. What's important is sharing the knowledge with guys, getting the information out there, helping guys find the right resources. And that's another thing that people need to be aware of. You may say, I want to do Azure. What resources do I need? What training videos do I get? Which is the best place to go? I mean, everyone's offering training these days on Azure, from Udemy to Linux Academy or A Cloud Guru, because A Cloud Guru have bought Linux Academy, making it the biggest training provider. You get Cloud Academy, you get Pluralsight, and you go and look at those sites and you go, okay, 200, 300, 400 US a year. Okay, I can't afford that. You can get some really good training videos on Udemy, and some of them are really good. I mean, like only $18 or $15. Another good friend of mine, Thomas J. Mitchell, He's a full-time instructor and he does training videos.
I'm gonna have to get him. I'm gonna have to bring him over here.
Absolutely an amazing IT engineer and trainer. Again, he's a solutions architect. He's been around for a long time. He is just awesome. And I'm saying that because I've gone through some of his training, even at my level. And I was like, wow, this is just freaking awesome. He's direct to the point. It's easy. And he offers his courses, but you have to pay for his training. It's not free. But again, he's just one of the few trainers out there. With A Cloud Guru, I mean, they have some good training too. I know some instructors there personally, like Chase Davey. He's one of their Azure instructors, an amazing instructor as well. He has such a wealth of knowledge out there. CBT Nuggets as well. Yep. James Conrad. I know James Conrad going way back to Windows Server 2003. But CBT Nuggets, you pay for that training material. So again, it comes down to your budget at the end of the day. But if you want good value for money, there are some really good courses on Udemy. And again, there are some really bad courses. But I would say if you know the instructor, you're going to get a really good course. So again, Thomas Mitchell does some really good stuff. And I can, like I say, if you do a Google search on Thomas Mitchell, you'll find out. He's got his own website called Labit Out, Labit out.com. You can go to his website and have a look. And like I say, some of his material is good. Again, I've got material that I'm posting up there as well to try and share with you guys. All my training is free. I mean, Thomas has had a look at my training and he says, this is just awesome, but at the end of the day, I'm not there to make money. I think Thomas charges because that's what he does as a living. So, that's his income. So it's different from me. But like I say, he offers some really good labs out there. Again, also, I would say with Azure, before you look at getting training material, some of the training out there on Azure is on the old portal. So you'll be looking for tabs and you'll be looking for certain things in Azure and you won't find them because they are no longer there. They've been removed because the Azure portal, as you know, gets updated frequently. So I try to keep my videos
that's the thing, man.
With the latest stuff. So if you jump onto my channel, at least you're using the current version of Azure. And if there's any change, you'll be well aware of it. And I'll let the users know, well, if you're trying to do this in the old classic version of Azure, you may not see this interface. For example, like the firewall in our current Azure, if you go and create a firewall, it goes straight to firewall management. You actually have to switch into classic to get that firewall feature that a lot of us are familiar with. And then you can go and set up your firewalls. So again, that's something that you'll be looking around like, where do I find my firewall? It's just got firewall and firewall manager. And you click on firewall and it brings up a policy. And you're like, well, I don't need a policy. I want to create a damn firewall. So just switch to classic mode on the firewall button and voila, your firewall features will be there. Now you can go and create your firewall and your ports and set that up. So that's one of the things I don't like too much about the new portal, but it is what it is. And you'll get used to it as you start working with that. I know where Microsoft are going, they're pushing everyone to go with the firewall manager and with policies as well. So again, I'll cover those in videos as I move through the different videos over time. I have set a video up on how to create a firewall. And the way I do it, it's in the latest portal. So you're guaranteed to do the lab correctly. Where if you get some documentation that you look on Google or that you search or you look at some of their older training videos out there on Udemy, you'll see people creating firewalls. Well, this looks easy until you go and do it in the new portal and you'll say, well, this is missing. This is gone. What the heck? And then you spend an hour trying to find stuff and nobody's bothered to update you or tell you. And it's the same like when you're creating a Windows virtual desktop. Even some of the Microsoft videos, will talk you through on how to do it. But then when you go and create, you'll pop up with some errors and you'll think, well, he's seeing this and I'm not seeing, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's because he's using an older version of the portal, or because he's done stuff in the background and they haven't told you. So you don't see that other pop-up, or you don't see that because that hasn't, one step has been missed, or the step hasn't been missed. It's just been moved to a different place that you need to go to complete that step. So we'll be creating a lab on Windows Virtual Desktop as well, so that you know how to do that. Again, to set up a Windows Virtual Desktop, you actually have to set up Azure Active Directory Domain Services first. If you don't, you will not get the virtual desktop settings. So people will scroll through, I don't see this on my thing and it's not working. And well, yeah, it's not going to work because virtual desktop works with AADDS. So once you set that up, you can then go ahead and create your virtual desktop. And again, when you create your virtual desktop, Windows has a special version called multi-user. So that means I can create one desktop and have 10 people connect to it. So that's going to reduce my licensing costs as well. So, and that multi-license version is of that VM is only available once you set up Windows Virtual Desktop. Otherwise, you may scroll through the marketplace and you will scroll through all the virtual and say, well, I can't find this virtual Windows 10 that he's talking about. Where I see Windows 10, but I can't see any multi-user. What the hell is he talking about? And that's because you've got to set up Virtual Desktop. Once you finish setting up the configuration for Virtual Desktop, then you will see the drop-down menu that'll give you 3 options on installing Windows 10 multi-user. And then you can go ahead. And there are some I got yous around that as well, which I'll share with the guys as I start creating those labs too. So the gotchas that I come across, I will try and share them with the guys, with the users and all of your viewers as much as I can. Again, I'm in the process of creating that lab for the virtual desktops, as well as setting up a Cosmos DB and SQL database from the ground. And I ran through my lab this morning, and it was literally 15 minutes to get an SQL server up and running from the ground with someone with no experience, and how to manage it the easy way, not the hard way. Because if you go into SQL Center, there's another thing called SQL Data Services, where it's a cut down version to manage SQL. But I'll show you how to install SQL Management Studio on your desktop and connect your SQL database to that, so that you can say, oh, now I'm familiar with the SQL desktop that I'm used to seeing. So that you're not caught with your pants down like I was, like, hang on, where's this, where's that? And again, my goal is to share that. Also, I'm also doing another lab as well on load balancing, and I'm doing this live where I'm going to stress a virtual machine or a server and let it add servers live, so you can see the servers being added live in an environment. So that, for example, you may have a Netflix site, and or like your channel, you may all of a sudden get 10 million people heading to your channel, and your site, if you've only got one server, it's going to crash.
Yes.
So how to automatically scale up to another server and another one to load balance it automatically, and then as demand drops, those servers automatically start shutting themselves down, so you're back to one server, thus reducing your costs. So it's easy to create a scale set. Well, anybody can do that. Well, let's do something live. Let's stress it and see the servers being added there, so that you can have an understanding. Because I believe a video or a picture around seeing stuff live is much more easy. Okay, this is how we create a virtual machine. Okay, that's good, and off we go. But when it comes to load balancing, okay, this is how we create a load balancer. That's great. Well, let's see it in action. Let's see if it works. Let's create it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, let's go back and find out what we did wrong. So that's where the labs are starting to head now. So like I said, I have those labs already marked down to get published, hopefully this Saturday or next Saturday. The one with the scale sets, the live CPU stress. And again, I'll show you where to go to get that tool so that you can download it and do it in your lab and do it yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, you see somebody do it and you say, okay, that's cool. And you'll go and do it yourself and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, You're
like, well, I followed his instructions and I can't get the damn thing to work. So I will give you links to where I got these tools, and they're free, so they're not costing you anything. And I'll show you how to put them onto your machine, and so that you can actually stress that CPU out and how it works, and explain a bit about the tool. I know that tool's got nothing to do with Azure, but explain to you what it is it's doing and why it's doing it. Because I have the idea when I'm training or teaching somebody, I can say, hey, Kevin, this is how you create a virtual machine, or this is how you create a load balancer. Well, great. Why would we create a load balancer? Where would we use a load balancer? And what's the purpose of doing this anyway? You know, and if you don't understand that, then stuff's not going to make sense to you. So I try to keep things really flexible so that you know why it is you're doing it. But not only that, you can go away and say, I can do this at my company. I can install this feature. I can see where I can use this. Or no, I can't use it in my company. It won't suit my environment. But at least it gets your brain ticking. You know, light bulbs start coming on. And you'll find once you start getting an idea on, oh, so this is where I can use scale sets. Okay, this is how I can reduce my costs. Again, another thing is you'll create virtual machines and you forget to shut them down and you're going to be charged.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yep.
I'm in the process of creating a little lab that shows you how to automate it so that when you're not using it, it'll shut itself down. You don't have to go, oh, heck, did I shut it down? Can't remember. Oh, now I'm going to be charged for it. So I can show you how to automate. So it shuts itself down and it can start itself up when you want it to start up again. And you can use that in your company. For example, if you're running certain servers, you don't want them running overnight because nobody's going to be using them. So you can kind of put them in a suspended mode or shut them down. And then you can say, right, at 5 o'clock in the morning, start yourself back up again. So you're reducing your costs for your company.
Makes
and
sense.
Then at 7 o'clock again, shut yourself, go back to sleep again, shut yourself down, you know, because nobody's going to be accessing those resources. So there's a lot of things that I'll cover as we go through my labs on my channel. And again, like I say, you may have some users that may say, hey, you know, what about this lab? What about that lab? I'm more than happy to take that on board and slot it into all the other labs that I have. Your users may have certain questions that, well, I'm trying to do this, this is not working. Yeah, I'm happy to reach out to them and say, well, try this and try that. If I don't know, I'll find someone that does. You know, together we can find a solution, because two heads are always better than one. I don't know everything, you know, and I'm the first one to admit that. And that's another thing when you go for an interview as well, or when you're working in a company, don't be afraid to say, I don't know. I don't know. Show me and I'll learn. Help me. And again, always ask why. I'll give you a good example. I was in a meeting and this company was wanting to sell us a third-party product. And had all this fancy PowerPoint charts up with Power BI, and they were running all these things that looked really good. So I put my hand up, and there were about 15 of us in the meeting. I put my hand up. I said, I don't understand why we're doing that. And the guy said, okay, well, let me explain. And then I said, I still don't understand. So he was getting a bit aggravated with me, and people were looking at me like, oh, you know, look at the stupid idiot there.
Yeah.
And I said, sorry, I know this is the fourth time. I still don't understand. Can you explain that to me, you know? And people were like, oh, folding their arms around the meeting table. Oh, here we go. You know, Ryan's opened his mouth again. So now we're going to be here for another hour. And it worked out that once I got to the bottom of it, we actually didn't need his product. His product was going to cost us money. So we didn't need it, number one. And number two, 80% of the other people in the meeting didn't understand a damn thing either. And they all kept quiet. And I was like, you're kidding. So again, like I say to you, to all your viewers, don't be afraid to be the idiot in the room.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm number one idiot.
Me too, man.
Always ask questions. You know, even if there are more senior guys there and they look at you like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or they give you a side glance like, oh, here we go again, or they sigh or make some comment. Who cares? Ask, and then you'll learn. And if they don't explain it to you properly, say, well, break it down, explain it to me again. so that I understand
it. Yep.
Yeah. And again, you'll be surprised how many of your colleagues don't know. I mean, how many times have you gone in a meeting, everyone says, oh, that was a good meeting. And then you come on and you're like, did you know what he or she was talking about? And I guarantee you, a lot of them will go, no, didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, I went in, you know, I've seen even trainers train people and they do stuff and then students walk out the class and they go, did you understand what that was about? I'm like, no. Why did you say, well, I was waiting for you to say something. Well, I wasn't going to say that. I was waiting for you to say something. Oh, what are we going to do now? Well, should we go and ask him? Well, who's going to ask him? So, you know, you know, so you kind of have that attitude. So again, I would say to people, you know, be bold, ask questions. And if you don't understand, carry on asking until you are satisfied with the answer. If you're not satisfied with the answer, go away yourself and do some research. If someone tries to push you into a corner to give you an answer and you're not 100% sure, say, look, I'm not 100% sure. Let me come back to you. Oh, but I need an answer now. I'll come back to you. If you need an answer now, go see somebody else. I will come back to you because I want to come back to you with the right information. Again, another thing as well is when you're in IT and you're in a job, don't try to do everything yourself.
Oh, yeah, that one.
That one is also terrible. Try to ask others for help, share the load. Again, don't be kind as well and take on other people's job. You've got your job to do. People will be more than happy to let you do their work for them and they do nothing.
Exactly.
I've seen it happen. So also be bold enough to say, look, I'd like to help you, but I'm really busy. I need to do my stuff first. Once I finished my stuff, then I can come across and help you. But I need to do my stuff because if you end up helping him, you're making him look good and you're going to be in a bad light because you haven't done what you needed to do. So you need to, again, also have the courage to do things. Oh, but if I do that, then he's not going to be my friend or he's not going to talk to me and my life's going to be hard. You know, we're in the same team. I said, exactly. That's the word is team. It's about sharing the load with each other, not having freeloaders get you to do their work. So again, you've got your work to do. I'm not saying don't help people, but you know, gauge every situation based on its needs and then have a look and see. And you will find in every company, there will always be people that'll try and get someone else to do their work and they won't do it and they won't change. So that's where you need to push back and say, look, sorry, I'm busy. I've got my stuff to do. You know, I mean, do it diplomatic. Don't jump up there and bite his head off. Do it nicely and say, sorry, I've got my stuff to do. Once I've done my stuff, I'll take a look. And I guarantee you, he or she won't like that answer and they'll go somewhere else. And that's absolutely fine because then you can concentrate and do what you need to do. If somebody comes to you for advice and you give them advice and they don't take it, that's their problem. There's nothing.
It's whatever, yeah. You can't do anything.
If you don't know something, say to them straight, look, I don't know. Go ask Kevin. Kevin may know, or go and ask Jane. Jane may know. Or and if Jane and Kevin don't know, then you as the person that's asking the question, go and do some research yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if somebody tells you something, you think, that doesn't make sense to me with what he said. Go and do some research yourself and say, oh, okay, it does actually make sense what he was saying, or no, he's wrong. And don't be afraid to go back to that person and say, look, you're actually wrong. This is how it should be done. You're not being facetious. You're not being arrogant. You're just saying to him, look, this is what I've read and it doesn't work with what you've said to me. But I thought I'd just share it with you so that you've got that knowledge. So maybe you can go away and look at your process and see if there's something broken or something that you need to fix on your side. So do it in a nice diplomatic manner. You know, you don't need to lord it over someone. Look how
respectful way.
Yeah, do it in a respectful way. And the old analogy is, if you respect someone, they will respect you.
Like you right back. Yep.
Right back. And with respect, the correct attitude, willingness to learn and grow, be humble, give credit where it's due. You will very soon surround yourself with really good
people. Yes, exactly.
And again, steel sharpens steel. So always try to learn from people better than you.
Yes.
You know, some people like to keep you at their level because that's where I want you to stay. But if you want to grow, it means you need to move out of that comfort zone into a new level. And so talk to people that have knowledge, talk to people that are experts in different fields, read up about stuff, watch videos, do hands-on stuff, learn, and very soon you outgrow the people you're around. Some people don't want you to grow. They like to keep you.
It's to hold you down.
Hold you down. Oh, but they're my friends. I've known them for so many years. That's great. But you need to do what's best for you at the end of the day. Like you're saying, if you're at a company and you've done everything and you want to grow and there's no room to be promoted or there's no room for growth due to company politics or due to
whatever, it could be anything,
whatever it is, move to another company. You've lost nothing. Move to another company and go from there. And like I say, there are so many people out there that have so much knowledge, like your channel, my channel, and other channels that are so happy to share knowledge with guys that have been out there in the industry and that have gone through the trenches to show you the pitfalls so that you don't fall down those same holes as well, to prepare you so that when you go for interviews, you ask the right questions. Then the person that's interviewing will say, well, he or she's the one I want to give the job to. And don't think because you don't have experience, you're not capable. Again, everybody's different. So don't try and say, I'm not as good as him, I'm not as good as her. You are better. Everybody's different. And like I say, at the end of the day, if you believe in yourself and you have confidence and you can do anything.
Exactly.
Let's look at Elon Musk. SpaceX and Tesla nearly went bankrupt. He actually went to Apple and said to Apple, do you want to buy Tesla? Apple said,
yeah,
what a bugger off, what a waste. I'm not interested. And because of his perseverance and sticking it out, look what he's created.
He's accomplished, yeah.
Look what he's accomplished. And I'll just use him as an example. Look at Steve Jobs, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates,
look at Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. I mean, I can go on. They're just some of the few. I mean, look at Einstein. Einstein was rejected twice from for when he applied to get into university. He was told he was not smart enough. Even his teachers said to Einstein, his mother, take your kid out of school because your kid's got no brains. And who is Einstein, So again, don't listen to toxic gossip. Believe in yourself. If somebody says, good, that's their opinion. It's not your opinion.
And I was gonna not to interrupt you. I was gonna say that it's that's the thing with managers too. Is like when you hire someone, like a lot of it has to, like we talked about this earlier in the interview about personality and having the right attitude. A lot of managers do not want someone that just create a toxic environment to the whole company as a whole. So that's the reason why when you see certain people and they have certain attitudes, you just cannot hire them. Why should I hire you if you don't have a positive attitude and you're negative all the time? It's just like, you're going to just ruin my whole company or the company that as a manager, I want someone that has a good attitude. I want that in the company. I don't want someone coming in here burning everyone out. It's no good for anyone.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I worked in a company where one person was negative and man, he brought the whole team down. The whole team within a very short space of time were all negative. So they brought that with them. And you get managers who are also negative
yes.
as well.
Yes.
It's like, oh my word. And then you get people that are higher than managers that also executives that are also negative as well.
Yes, I have. I deal with that too. And I have people like that. So I call those, I had this conversation with someone. Actually, I have a Discord, by the way. I don't know if you know, I have a Discord, but I have a Discord with 2,000 people in it. But I spoke about this. I call them vampires.
Yes.
So what I mean by vampires is that they drain your energy. They're so negative, they drain your energy. So they make you tired. And then you're just so tired the entire time and just drain all your energy that by the time you get home, you just don't want to study or do anything. You're not even motivated to do anything because your job is just destroying your whole lifestyle.
I mean, absolutely. And to stay motivated in today's environment, it's really hard.
Yes.
So that's why you need to surround yourself with positive thinking and positive people.
Exactly.
And yes, like, we all make mistakes, we grow and learn. But, if you have around positive in a positive environment, you will succeed. I mean, I've had guys on my LinkedIn say, oh, you know, I failed my exam. This is like the 4th time or the 5th time. I'm like, don't worry. Failure is not the end of the world. You know,
You got to embrace it.
Embrace
the
it
failure. Yes.
You know, it's like I would say to someone, you know, why do we fall down? So we can learn to pick ourselves up, you know, and picking yourself up is hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. You know, at the end of the day, if someone wants to come to you and talk to you about how bad this employee is or negative about how that boss is, you may be at the water cooler or on your lunch break, say, hey, sorry, I forgot something at my desk. I just need to go and do something, and walk away. Don't engage in that conversation. Don't even take the time to engage in that toxic culture. I mean, I've did a contract for a company. It was the longest 4 months of my life. Everyone was so toxic, negative. It was unbelievable. I couldn't wait because the IT manager had left, and they asked me to come in while they were in the process of hiring someone. And my word, it was just a nightmare for me. And it's just because the company culture was so toxic, and people pitting against other people, and managers pitting.
No, it was you. It was him.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. It was him. Yeah. It's not my fault. It's his fault. They start blaming other people.
Absolutely. And managers blaming managers, and nobody taking responsibility. And it's a common thing out there. And like I say, when the contractor says, oh, do you want a permanent job? I said, no, thank you. Well, why don't you? So I said, well, I'll be honest with you. This is a toxic environment. I said, you need to change your environment. I said, I can't work in this environment where everything is undermined, where people go behind your back to somebody else. I said, it doesn't work that way. You have a chain of command. Can you imagine if they did that in the military? Nothing would function.
Nothing will function, yeah.
I said, that's why we have these chains of command where we go through these different stages. For example, if you go to your manager and your manager's not doing anything to help you, and you're struggling, and you've spoken to him, yes, after you've done that, then go above him and seek the help or guidance that you need, because you're not getting anywhere with them. It doesn't mean because you're not getting anywhere with them, you need to stay where you are. No. You know, try and talk to him and try and persevere. And if you find, well, I'm hitting a brick wall, this is just not working, then you have no choice but to go further up the food chain. And if the same thing happens, you have no choice but to go further up the food chain. And if people say, well, you're causing waves and you're causing drama and you're causing this. No. You say, no, I'm not, you know. So at the end of the day, you're right. You know, a toxic environment can make or break you. And if you are in a toxic environment, and you can't leave, you need to find some positive stuff and stop mixing with those toxic people, because I guarantee you at least you will find a few other people that are positive as well in that company, that are in the same boat as you. And if you get together and you start talking about positive things, not whinging and becoming another whinging group, there's enough of those already. Be positive and move forward, because people are very quick to say, look how bad this company is, or look how bad this boss is, or look how bad this environment is. You know, things are bad everywhere. It's your perspective. So
yes, exactly.
If you let it bring you down, it's going to bring you down. And you're right. It's vampires is a perfect word, because it'll just suck the life out of you instantly, and then you don't want to even work there. But not only that, you won't even have the fire to apply for another role.
Exactly.
Because you yourself will start to believe how bad you are, or how useless you are. And that applies to everything in life, not just IT.
Yeah, that does apply to everything. I actually teach that. I tell people to stay away from that. Actually, Marty was asking if you have a Patreon page or something, because like, you're dropping so many gems here in my chat today. It's insane. So someone was asking if you have a Patreon page or you have anything else. You don't have a Patreon page, right? Or
no, I don't. I just, like I said, I've only been doing LinkedIn and the YouTube and my blog for 7 months.
Got it.
I've just started. And the reason I started was to just, like I say, share the knowledge and let people know more about IT, share what I've learned, both, like you say, as a manager, as a person in the trenches. I mean, I also have the belief if you should be able to talk the walk. So
Mhm.
if I'm an IT manager, I should be able to set up a network. I should be able to help my guys. If my guys get stuck, I should be able to go there and mentor them. Again, you'll be surprised how many IT managers don't know IT.
You know, paperwork only.
They only know paperwork. Absolutely. And then this is also another drawback, because in IT, you'll be struggling with an issue. Kevin, what's taking so long? Well, I've got this issue. I don't care. Just get it fixed. But no, you don't understand. This is why it's taking so long. I don't care. Get it fixed. Because that manager doesn't understand where you're coming from, it puts you in a bad mood. It, puts you under stress. It makes your job harder to do because he's not giving you the support. You should be able to go to your manager or your supervisor and say, I'm struggling, and they should get off their chair or get off their butt and say, all right, Kevin, show me what it is. Let me help you, and get in there and do the work so that you can learn, instead of just saying, well, that's not my job, that's your job. People are very quick at doing that.
Oh yeah, they
That's not my
say,
job,
yeah,
Kevin. That's your job. But you, my manager, I'm asking for help. Well, go and fix it, So again, I've come across, like I say, a lot of IT supervisors and managers that have got Microsoft qualifications. But when you explain to them, right, we've got this issue with the backup, because they haven't got their hands to it, they don't understand. A backup takes a couple of hours to restore, or whatever the case may be. It's not, well, click and next and stay in 5 minutes. Oh, that backup should be there back in 2 minutes. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. We have to recover that data. We then have to make sure that data is not corrupted, and then we can restore that data back to that user. And that takes time. And because he doesn't understand that process, his attitude will be, well, that's another useless IT guy. And it's not you, it's him. So this is where it comes back to having a good manager.
having good managers, man.
In companies, you'll have good managers and you'll have
bad managers. Yeah.
And you will soon see. Also, people like to manage, dare I say, by fear.
Yeah, and scare the whole IT department.
And scaring the whole IT department.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, your job is on the line, and this and that.
Yeah.
You can rule by fear for that long, and it'll only get you that far.
And it'll probably get you fired too. As a manager, you're going to get fired. You can't do that.
I mean, absolutely. And I don't do that. If someone's got an issue, take the time to understand what issue it is and help them and guide them, give them the tools, give them the resources to do what they need to do. Most importantly, listen to them, because a lot of managers don't. I don't want to know. You go and sort it out. It's your problem. Can't
figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah, I'm busy. I've got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
You're my manager. And managers have a nice thing. My door is always open. You can come in and ask for help. Yeah. Really? When the chips are on, let's just see if the door is still open.
That is so on point. Oh my God, that is so on point. They have the door open, and then they're like, you could just come and look for me if you need help. And then when you go there, the door's closed.
Yes.
That is so on point. Oh my God.
Yes.
That's happened to me, actually. That is so on point. Oh my God.
So I mean, you sit there and you
that's
think,
politics too. That is politics.
It's politics too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, gone are the days with, as you as an IT individual, being able to fix things. We need to be able to talk to people. We need to be able to
be approachable.
Calm people down. Some people, like say, someone the other day at work said, oh, I've accidentally, it's my fault, a financial person, I've deleted all my financial records. It's a mistake. I've deleted the whole folder. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to get fired. I said, no, you're not going to get fired. I said, give me 10 minutes and I'll
restore that file for you. Yeah.
And I put the folder, I said, and I restored. I said, there's the folder. Oh, thank you. You saved my life.
That happened to me, man. That happened to me. The exact same thing happened to me. I had a share folder. The guy grabbed the folder and he deleted the whole folder by accident, but we have backups, right? Yes. So I just went, I restored a previous version. I put it in there for him, and he was like his whole world was about to come to an end. It's a financial guy. Yes. He's a really big dog. He's a big dog. Yes. He's a big dog. He's top tier, like a real important executive. And he thought he was going to get fired. I'm like, you're not going to get fired. I'll restore it for you. So then I restored the file, and it's like, man, Kevin, I owed you a cup of coffee, and you don't owe me anything. It's my IT job. So
Yes,
then I restored the file, and he was just so relaxed because it's a shared file. It has hundreds and hundreds of documents, like 10 years of documents worth of the company with
Yes.
auditing and financial budgets and everything. And he was just so stressed out and he's sweating. And I'm like, why are you sweating? He's like, because I deleted a whole folder. I'm like, no, I could restore that for you. So it gave me like, it took me like literally 5 hours to restore it because there was so many documents.
Yes.
So I'm like, while you're waiting for that, don't touch anything. Just while waiting for that, you go to the other folders. Because what happens is when you make a folder, right? When you make you work IT, so you make a folder. A lot of people have these shortcuts on their desktop.
Yes.
Then you can't click on any of them because the whole folder just got deleted.
Yes.
So I'm over here restoring that folder, and I sent like a company email, and I said something like, we had some sort of outage with folders. So for now, can you guys not click on your shortcuts? I'm just restoring it right now. So then I restored the whole folder for him. Everything was there after 5 hours, 6 hours. And then I'm like, yo, you guys are good to go. Like, you guys are good to go. Like, go ahead and try again. And then everything worked for everyone. So lesson told, like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to do something that's going to mess you up, because someone's there to help you.
I mean,
if you have the right team, people will help you. No one's going to say no to you.
Absolutely. If you have the right team, the right attitude, and you have like you being the IT person in your company, you had the foresight, well, let's have a backup. You'd be surprised how many people don't have a backup in place. And so again, having a backup, but not only that, because you did that for your boss, you've done two things. A, he will now trust you. B, when you give your opinion, it'll be respected because this person knows what they're talking about. And so, and you've won his confidence, and he will then be a champion for you, for the other executives. This is why we've got the right guy. This is the thing, and it's those small things that will separate you from the next person, because you're right. People get stressed when they delete important stuff. People just, their whole world comes to a crash and crashes down on them. So having the confidence, say, no problems, I've got backups in place. As the IT person, I know how to restore that backup. I can get it done for you. It's not a 5-minute job, but let me get it done. And once you get it done, it's all good to go. Again, like you say, you don't tell everyone, oh, look what the dumb idiot did. He deleted the folder.
Yeah, we don't do that.
You don't do that. You did the right thing. Send out, look, there's been an outage. We're working to get the situation resolved. So again, it's been diplomatic as well. But you'll be surprised how many people like to say, oh, so-and-so deleted a folder. I'm like, well, people don't need to know that. It's nothing to do with them. Again, it also comes back to confidentiality as well. If you're dealing with executives and management, it's between you and the manager and the IT people concerned, not the whole of the United Nations. They don't need to know about that. So again, it's also, you'll find in IT, you learn to keep things confidential, because that's part of your job, because you have access to a wide range of important information. You'll also find as well in IT, I've worked at a company where staff have left and they've set scripts in place to actually start deleting folders. They've been malicious and deleting data at a certain time. Not everybody's like that, but you do get some very vindictive individuals. So again, that's why we said earlier on, it's coming back to hiring the right person with the right attitude. Are they going to fit in your team? Are you going to be comfortable with them? I mean, they can have all the skills, technical skills, but if they've got zero people skills, I still won't hire them. Again, if they've got people skills and don't have technical skills, I still won't hire them. You've got to have that balance of some technical skills and people skills as well. You can't just have someone that's got no technical people skills at all, because half the time, like you say, is communicating with your users and your staff and the people in your company about IT situations when you have viruses or you have outages or you're upgrading or migrating or restoring data or backing up data. So working with those individuals, some people might say, well, I've plugged my USB in and my USB is not working. Well, the USB port's blocked for a security reason. or I can't VPN, or I need access to this folder because Joe's got access to that folder. Well, Joe's in a different department. He has different permissions. Again, don't just give access to somebody. Go and find out from your manager, is this person allowed access to this folder? Yes, he is. Then get it in writing in an email from the email or the manager concerned. Joe needs access to this folder, because if you give him access, they'll be very quick to say, well, I didn't tell you to give him access. You gave him access on your own. So some people are like that. So again, it comes back to documentation and getting everything documented. So, and having a change process in place.
Change process, yes.
So that if somebody needs access to a certain document that's sensitive, make sure it's signed off by the manager and the people concerned. Make sure your IT manager signs it off, and then you can say, okay, this is all good. I've got all the correct sign-offs. Now we can arrange you to have access to that. Oh, but I need access now. I'm going into a meeting. Well, that's not going to happen.
No, that's a process in place. I cannot just give you access on the fly. I need to get approval from all these people before I can give you access.
Correct. And
Yeah,
people might
that's
say,
all
well,
that.
people might say, well, he or she's being difficult. Like, no, you're not being difficult. You're doing your job.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, in IT,
You're covering your ass.
correct, you have to, because the buck
Yep.
stops with you, because like we said earlier on, people are very quick not to accept responsibility. And there are only a few people that I've come across that actually have the courage to say, I've made a mistake, I'll accept the responsibility. How do I fix this? Or, hey, sorry, I did this, my bad.
My bad.
What can we do?
Let's figure it out and fix it together.
Yeah, because we all make mistakes.
Mistakes.
But a lot of people won't. Well, he said, she said, he, him, her, and you'll go around the mulberry bush, blaming each other, and nothing gets done. Everybody gets aggravated, and it just causes dissension and sedition in the team, and you don't want that. So having these policies and processes in place, when somebody leaves, make sure you have a document. They're giving you back the laptop, they're giving you back the phone. What happens to their access? Where does their email go? Is the email being forwarded? Don't just say, oh, he's left, let's delete the account, like some users have done in IT, where I've
God,
had
I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, we've had people leave and then, oh, okay, well, we'll just delete his account, out of Active Directory.
No.
Well, thank you. Or we can't get his email. Well, yeah, because you deleted his account. So, and not only that, if somebody leaves a company, if I'm a salesperson or an external company, I'm talking to you and you leave, I don't know you've left. So are my emails going to go to you? If they're going to go to you, who are they being forwarded to? Because if I send them to you, you're not there, they're not going to be answered. So who do those emails get forwarded to? So there's a lot of documentation.
Or out of office reply or whatever.
Correct. There's a lot of thought that goes into being an IT person. It's not just fix and restore and recover and set up. There's the documentation, and also there's the thinking. Stop and think. If you're getting stressed and you're fixing a job and it's not working and you're getting stressed, stop for 5 minutes, breathe, go outside, have a fresh air, have a cup of coffee, come back and try again. If you don't succeed, then who can I call
To help you? Yep.
But I guarantee you, if you stop for 5 minutes and you just calm yourself down, go and have your cup of coffee outside or have your juice outside or get some fresh air for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not going to harm anybody. I bet when you come back, I guarantee you would have already found the solution to your problem.
Exactly. I was going to say that. So Ryan, I don't want to keep you on a little longer because we've been on for almost 2 hours now.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you go. If you I have a Discord, so if you want to come on Discord, you can. Entirely up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah, if you send me the link.
If you want to do a live session with me,
yes,
we'll do Azure on your channel or my channel, whatever works. Let me know.
We can do it on your channel or my channel, whatever you want me to know. That's absolutely fine.
Because you have so much. You've been in IT for a really long time. You're IT manager, obviously. You have so much knowledge and wealth. Like, I could be here talking to you probably for countless hours and having a beer and just talking to you the entire time. But I don't want to keep you going too, because I know you have stuff to do, and I have stuff to do. I got to do myself actually too. So, hope you guys enjoyed our conversation today. I hope everyone, because people are in chat, I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for watching my video and thank you for being here. Thank you for watching me and Ryan talk for a little bit. Go subscribe to Ryan. He's helping people in IT. That's his thing. He loves helping people just as much as I do. So go follow him, go subscribe to him, show him some love. I appreciate, Ryan, that you took the time to do this interview with me because I know you have other things to do and I know you have a busy schedule. So I'm going to close it out with, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope everyone has a great day. And Ryan, tell us if you want to say any final words to everyone.
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for taking their time to tune in. I'd like to thank you all for giving me the privilege to speak to you. I'd like to thank you, Kevin, as well, for contacting me. You know, I'm humbled and grateful to you all because, like I said, at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And again, thank you, everyone, for your time. You know, I appreciate it more than I can say. So again, lots of love from my side to you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, you guys take care. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to end the session. But I'm gonna stay here with Ryan and talk to him. So you guys have a great day.
You guys have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.